peace, restore our gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime and know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the VTS Finals. Glacial Esports Black will be taking on the Akuma Blades in a best of 5 to determine who will be the Victorious Triumph Series champions here in fall of 2023. On the blue side for game 1, we do have Glacial Esports. In the top lane, it's Leoto, jungler Junhaha. Mid lane, Kite Azure. In the bot carry position, we have Silva. And supporting him down there, Sly Lego. On the red side, rising to meet them, the Blades. In the top lane, we do have Dobbin. In the jungle, Hex Mist, mid laner, AKM Fluke. In the bot carry position, Hakorum. And support for Akuma is going to be Cafe Chocolata. My name is Crewman44. I am joined by Turk for the finals cast. Turk, we did have to wait a little while for this one, didn't we?
We sure did. And it's good to be able to finally actually get here. Like this finals, I've been like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to cast it. So it's exciting that we actually get to do it now here. And it's GEB versus Akuma. The last time that these two teams met, which was quite a while ago, but nevertheless they did. Akuma actually ended up 2-0ing GEB, and GEB is your front runner. Of course, they did win victorious last splits. So I mean, you put those two and two together, like this is quite the arc, eh? Quite the story arc that we've got going on here for this grand finals.
Yeah, an exciting match for sure. And I believe Glacial Esports it was actually Akuma that was on top of those standings at the end of the regular season. So
Mm-hmm.
that coupled with the fact they did get that win in the head to head earlier on this season, Turk, as you just mentioned, might indicate that, they actually could be favored coming into this one tonight, potentially. But, of course, we will see in just a moment, Glacial Esports are going to be starting on the blue side for this first game, Turk. And as we all know, blue side, pretty good these days.
Yeah, blue side is really good. And GB's playstyle too, with what they want on blue side, they have a lot of options. They can look for something more like what you see in the world's meta right now, which is like the control mage first picks, like the Orianna, the Syndra. Those two are a bit of an option. They also have that Jinx too, which is a big power play, big power pick for Silva. Seem to be able to play around that. The Rakan is also another option. So this team has a lot of different first picks that they can pull out. So blue side on for GEB seems pretty strong for them, and just luck of the draw here, from my understanding, or maybe did they actually happen to have side selects? Do you know? Do you know by
I
any
would
chance, Herman?
assume that it would have been Akuma with the side
So,
selection,
so if that's the
since they
case,
were
that's
the
pretty
higher seed.
interesting,
But
right? That because that could tell you if that is the case, right? Then that could tell you that Akuma could prioritize heavily the counter picks for their solo lanes, or maybe even their jungle too. Hexmist does share a very similar champion pool to Junhaha, so you could see that mix up there too. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man. Like let's get into this as soon as we can here. I think we're ready to
absolutely,
roll. Like
yeah, be getting into this first draft very, very shortly here, guys. We are, of course, going to be playing on patch 1321 is when these
yeah.
teams were playing this match out. It was still 1321. Some important things to note here. Is there anything you wanted to draw our attention to, Turk, in particular?
Well, I mean, the main thing that I think I really want to focus on here tonight is going to be the priority pick around these ADCs. I think that's going to be a
Mhm.
major thing. Those ADCs really can help set up for those like mid to late game assurances here. And so far, what I've been seeing a lot of from GEB's side is going to be that Zaya and that Jinx. So the priority early on for what GEB and Akuma want to do here, it looks like both teams are going to be ready up here very shortly. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that ends up piloting out. But yeah, I think another big major thing that we want to focus on tonight is going to be those jungle carries, like those two matchups in between those two champions, or those two players rather, excuse me, is going to be really exciting here because yeah, again, they do share a very similar like carry jungle style. That's kind of their facilitation role within the team frame. So it'll be neat to see how both of those two kind of line up with each other, but it'll be fun. It'll be
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, I love me some carry junglers, Turk. We are now getting into our game one draft. Let's see where the priorities are going to lie. Will it be those carry junglers or the hyper carry bot laners that end up getting locked in first? Zaya immediately immediately going to get removed here, Turk, so that is one pick we won't have to
Yep.
worry about. Jinx, though, still available, of course.
Yeah, for now it absolutely is. And Akuma looking to just ban that Swain could be a bit of an indication that maybe they're looking to play more of a team fight style comp, just more like go in and dive. And GB electing to ban the Zai, which is something that I consider them first picking, and the Orianna, another first pick that I thought they might go for. So throwing a couple curveballs already for us. I think that'll be fun. Could
Yeah,
be
I mean,
indicative. Yeah.
that's the thing about the meta right now, right? Is there are just a lot of power picks. There's just a lot of
Hmm.
champions that are really strong right now in this current iteration of the game. So clearly,
Yeah.
Glacial Esports Black here do have something else in mind. Talia going to get removed as well by the Blades. Xerath, the last ban from blue side. That one's maybe a little bit surprising to me, at least.
Yeah, that's more of a target pick, of course. The Xerath being piloted there really well from the side of Akuma, so that'll just be banned out here. And this does leave the Jinx open right now for GEB if that's what they want to grab. Akuma electing to ban the Swain, the Talia, and then of course the MF too. MF being like a more notorious counter to that Jinx, so the GEB lock in from that champion, not too surprising for either of us. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, I think that's making a lot of sense here for Glacial Esports. To see what the response is going to be now for Akuma. Potentially the bot lane getting locked away here, unless they do have one of those carry junglers that they do want to highly prioritize.
Yeah, that's exactly it right now. And already you see GEB pretty happy with what they've been able to grab here. Right away from this first pick, this next B2 and B3, those could be more of those protective style like roles, protective style champions. You have the option to draft another control mage into this RE2 if you want. You could look for something like the Syndra. Maybe you're looking for that. But you will see the Ashe. The Ashe tends to do pretty well into the Jinx. Obviously doesn't have nearly as much carry power, but the utility is going to be extremely useful. If you're watching Worlds currently without any spoilers, it is a little bit of a flex pick too. So throw that out there.
Yeah, could
So
see that support Ash coming out
that,
potentially.
that's more cope than anything, but I think it's pretty safe to say that that Ashe is going to be a direct pick into that Jinx, and we are going to see the Akali. So instead of that control mage that we did mention there earlier, it's actually going to be that 1v1 I want to kill you style from Kaizazur. The Rakan
Yeah.
too.
The Akali and Rakan, of course, a couple other picks that have been very, very popular in that Worlds meta over there in Korea. So pretty exciting to see those locked in here for Glacial Esports. That's going to give them some solid engage options, right, with that Rakan. And Akali obviously should be able to follow up on that really nicely with all of the mobility, but they are maybe a little bit lacking in frontline for the Jinx. As some people say, the best defense is a good offense. Maybe that's kind of the style that we're going for here. But the Lee Sin is going to come out as the jungle option for Hex Mist over here, and of course is a pretty good pick into that Akali.
Yeah, it definitely is. And now we get to see exactly what these phase 2 bans come in, what they're going to be targeting. GEB looking to target more of that top lane. Obviously, they're basically assuming that Akuma wants to save that counter pick there, that R5 for that top. I probably say that's a pretty safe bet myself too. But at this point right now, Akuma, they've already banned out the Poppy, which is a direct counter to that Lee Sin and that Ahri. The Briar is also going to come through, but GEB has a pretty wide champion pool to be able to facilitate that front line that they do need. So maybe they can look for that Aura, maybe they can look for that Malphite, something along those lines with that Silas. Pretty much being off the table at this point for Akuma now, so yeah, both phases here, phase 2 bans coming in. Akuma targeting jungles, while GEB targeting tops.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And as you said, certainly a wide range of things that we could still go for in terms of tanks for the top laner of Glacial Esports. But, blind picking that tank can be dangerous given the fact that the Akuma Blades do have that R5 counter pick, right? You've mentioned already for us, Turk, that these teams do tend to play somewhat similar styles, but that's not to say that they can't bring out a curveball on R5 to try and go for a little bit of a punish here, especially in game one, right? Where you have sort of some extra room to work with.
Yeah, the exact opposite of a curveball is your old bread and butter, and that's going to be Leoto Shen. Like, if you can look at that guy's OP.GG, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So,
Yeah.
he's going to grab that. That's exactly what they need to. Obviously, it does bring in that frontline role that champion does provide. You also see that carry style jungle and that Graves coming up from June Haha, which again is definitely his bread and butter too. So a good solid like comfort pick phase 2 for these two teams. Looks like pretty safe to say here. But GEB, yeah, really picking that Shen there. That's also going to help that Jinx a lot. So Silva should be pretty safe with this team comp that they've drafted so far. And Akuma, yeah, at the end, they are going to round it out with an R5 Mordekaiser, like that direct counter pick into the Shen. So really, is Akuma able to punish that champion on sides a lot? Or is the Shen able to make huge impacts on the rest of this map and then actually start snowballing the rest of this game? And I think that's going to be the main question here for this game one.
Yeah, absolutely. So eyes on that top lane then. This kind of breakdown up there is a very explosive composition from
Yeah.
honestly both sides, but I think particularly Glacial Esports Black. If they end up falling behind with a composition like this, I think they could potentially run out of options very quickly.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. They don't have a lot of forms of like consistent engage on the side of GB. Like they have that Rakan R, but there's no they have the Shen taunt, right? So the Rakan can follow up off of the Shen, but other than that, I'm not sure who else is really going to be engaging these fights. So a lot of it's going to be relying on Akuma's engage, bit of an overstep on their behalf. And I guess the good news or the bad news, depending on how you look at it for GEP, is that Akuma has a lot of different tools to be able to look for those plays. Like you have that Ashar, you have the RA Charm, you have the Lee Sin kick. Obviously, you have that Rel and then the Mordekaiser too. Pretty much every one of those champions can set up some sort of kill in some way, shape, or form, while GEB is going to be a bit more reliant on possibly an overextension from Akuma here in game one.
I really do think that's the key difference between the compositions, though, is Akuma Blades, they have more setup, right? They have stronger engage. They have more tools to work with in the team fights, whereas for Glacial Esports, for the most part, they have just invested in damage in this game one draft. They want, everybody on their comfort picks. They want everybody to have sort of the opportunity, it seems, to carry here in game number one. Just kind of see, who's feeling it tonight, who's ready to pop off, and just kind of play things out that way. And, again, since this is game one in a best of 5 series, both of these teams do have the room to experiment a little bit in this game one draft, right? And pick for those comfort options and just go with the style that has been working for them up until this point, right? And see how that is going to fare in this particular match. But we should be able to go into a short break here, guys, very, very shortly, so we can jump into this first game over onto Summoner's Rift there. But before we do, Turk, do you want to give us a quick prediction? Where's your head at on these drafts? Do you favor one side significantly over the other, or would you say they're pretty evenly matched in the drafting department?
Based on history, you could make the argument, obviously, Akuma having 2 OGB before could be a bit of an indicator, but I think realistically for me as a player, I tend to favor agency. And when I look at the side of Akuma, they have a lot of that. Basically, at any point in time, whether it's pre-6 or post-6, they can look for plays. They have the Charm, they have the Ashar, they have the Lee Sin kick once again, they have the Rel, they have the Mordekaiser. Again, I've already talked about it once, I'll say it again. The amount of agency that those champions have, the amount of plays that they can make is really contingent on themselves and then not their enemy team or them making a lot of mistakes. It's really just, can I pull trigger? If we can consistently and decisively, then chances are we can get kills too. So for me, I tend to favor Akuma style, but I'll tell you, if they end up inting a little bit or overextending and making a couple misplays in GEB's comp, given enough time, will 100% begin to take off. Like that Jinx with that front line of Shen, the Graves, the damage that comes in through there. On Akuma, they don't have a lot of members who can take and soak that damage. The Mordekaiser will be okay at it, but they don't have a true front line themselves, so that damage from GEB will hurt if they're able to scale up. But for me, I'll give it game one to Akuma. I like the style that they've drafted here, and it really just comes down to their own execution.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it is finally time. Long have we waited to enjoy this best of 5 set between Akuma Blades and Glacial Esports Black, and now finally the time has come. Will Akuma Blades, the first seed from the regular season, be able to claim the championship here in fall of 23, or will our defending champions from last split, Glacial Esports Black, be able to secure the title for themselves once again? Game 1, right after this. All right, everybody, welcome on to Summoner's Rift for Game 1. Here we are, Glacial Esports Black, once again on the blue side to start things off. And Akuma Blades on the red is very appropriate for our color schemes here, Turk.
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? We're getting a little bit of color cohesion here on the Rift for Game 1. And I like that.
Absolutely.
Pretty
Yeah,
nice to
no,
see.
it does feel quite nice.
It
But let's
does.
take a quick look at our runes and summoner spells here. Let's see if there's anything noteworthy that we should be considering before we get too much into the action.
Yeah, I've already done my quick scan. To me, nothing really seems to stick out. It pretty much all seems stock standard across the board. Guys who are electing to take that fleet footwork obviously will give him a bit of extra sustain in this ranged matchup. I mean, other than that, I could probably point out the Rel, the Aftershock to me. You do have the option between the Glacial, or Glacial Augment, excuse me, or the Aftershock. So that coming in just goes to show that they do want to have a bit more of that front line, obviously, with that champion coming in. So that Rel looks like they're going to be building that. Obviously, you do have the option to go that Radiant Virtue too. So we'll be more of like a pseudo frontline style of play, but I do know that the Rel can be piloted extremely well from both supports here. So this game one, I think that pick could be pretty decisive here. But right now, for what we've seen for this game one, it's pretty stock standard stuff.
Certainly. Yeah, and remember, we are going to be particularly interested, I think, in this top lane, at least early on, to see if the Shen is going to be able to maintain some even footing up there and get himself in a good position to start impacting the rest of the map once he does get towards that level 6 mark. The Graves is clearing up towards that top lane, whereas the Lee Sin is reverse of that, going to be pathing down towards his Rel and Ashe lane.
Yep. And Dune actually did receive a bit of a leash here, so he should be ahead in tempo here. Graves will clear pretty fast anyways. So at this point right now, yeah, Silva and Sly Lego are playing catch up.
Yeah.
Doing a pretty good job though, but the level 2 will come in here for the side of Akuma. And oh wow,
Crashing, that battering strike there will find the double knock up at the crash down as well, but the grand entrance comes out for the counter engage. Rakan preventing Hakuram from following up on that engage from the Rel, and that was the flash down, although of course we do have the Hex Flash for Cafe, so still feeling pretty okay, I think, about that attempt.
not too bad at all. No, you're gonna burn the flash, and at the end of the day, yeah, you don't get the kill. Ideally, you get a flash for that. Trading 1-for-1 in those flashes can 100% be worth, especially with the Hex Flash, like you highlighted. But ultimately, good patience there from Silva and Sly Lego, and nothing really comes of it from their side. So, at the end of the day, they lose that level 2, but they end up getting a bit of a summoner advantage with it.
Certainly. Cool, calm, and collected from the Rakan there. Not panicking. Just understands exactly what you need to do in that situation. You just stop the Jinx from getting out any DPS during the CC. And there's really not too much more that the Akuma Blades bot lane was going to be able to find there. That was the Shen taking a turret shot, but he should still be okay for now. Did successfully get the wave to crash. So Leoto even could go for a little bit of a cheater reset here if he would like to.
He does have that option. Yeah, at the end of the day, he's going to be very safe too. I don't know if they know that Hex misses down towards the spot side, but I feel like they definitely have this inclination right now. And Sly and Silva
going in, finds the double knockup again with the crash down. But once again, Rakan with the counter engage, although he is going quite low. Sly flashing away with the flash follow for Hakuram, and it will be the first blood over to the Akuma Blades ADC. And now Jing underneath the turret, the Sonic Wave will connect, and the Resonating Strike comes through as a double kill over to the bot laner. And Akuma Blades off to a phenomenal start here in Game 1.
Oh, the Hex Flash comes in clutch, doesn't it, Crewman? Oh, holy. Out of that bush.
Well.
Yeah, the double knock-up into the double stun, and then the follow-up, it comes through there. A bit of an overextension from Sly Lego, and all those sums being burned from GEB's bot side, and that's crucial at that point. Hexmas was pathing bot too, so he ended up landing that Q on Silva, nets that kill, gets a flash in the process too, and yeah, they miss that wave. The wave slow pushes back towards the enemy team right now, and this can be frozen on them. There's a lot of windows that Akuma has, but that's a huge start to this game one for them.
Absolutely. Trying to keep Jinx down for as long as possible as well. Very important, right? Remember, the Jinx was the B1 pick for Glacial Esports here on the blue side for this first game. So if that pick can be neutralized, if Silva can be neutralized, early on in the game here, that would bode very, very well for the Blades in this one. But we did also see, right, Junhaha with the pathing towards the opposite side of the map was hovering around the top lane for a little while there, but wasn't really able to find anything. They just didn't have too much threat onto the Mordekaiser with Graves this early on in the game. Doesn't really have much damage, and the Shen, just not able to offer too much in that department either.
That's it, and at the end of the day, yeah, GEB just unfortunately not able to do anything, and Akuma doing a great job recognizing that window, finding it and making those plays. And yeah, Junha and Hexmist are both keeping pace with each other at this point right now in their clears. Really no discrepancy there, but so far the impact is going to the Lee Sin for this early game, and he's done a really good job with that. So Silva and Sly Lego, fortunately they did crash that wave, and it is going to be a neutral state here for them. So the pace of the game will slow down quite a bit bot side, and that's kind of what they need at this point. You take a look at Hackroom right now. He's got those 2 kills. He's got the tier 2 boots coming in, and that is crucial. That move speed advantage with Ashe is going to be so punishing to the side of GEB.
You look over at Silva's inventory, just sitting on the Doran's Blade and the Cull. Not really anything to work with there. So just hoping to continue farming up these minions is the Jinx as much as possible for the time being.
That's it right now. We actually see Junha. He is starting in this dragon too, and he's going to look to take this. I believe that Hexmist is going to spot this out though.
Absolutely. Lee Sin in the area will suss out this attempted objective take. Dragon is down to about 50%. Lee Sin not dissuaded by the presence of the Rakan, who does have his own support moving over now as well. There comes the Ahri with the first move from the mid lane. The CC comes through, the Rakan goes down, and the Smite Steal as well from Hexmist absolutely makes it happen. Akali now trying to find something on the back end here, has the R2 to try and get away, but the flash for the Shattering Strike, and Rel finds the CC once again. Graves not able to get away as Hexmist goes back in with a Resonating Strike, and it is going to be Akuma Blades all over this early game.
And GEB wanted it so bad, and Junha, he was doing some good damage to it, but the rotation there from Akuma, it came in so clutch. You saw the mid laner rotate, you saw the bot lane rotate, and all of a sudden it's a 4v2 playing for that dragon, and before you know it, the Dragon Steel comes in, and those 2 extra kills, and now we've got Hexmist taken off here too. He's 2-0 in this Lee Sin. Really good facilitating champ. Is going to have that extra damage early on too with this Iron Spike Whip. Completing that item. He's going to be set to roll here very soon too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hexmist has been exactly where they need to be so far in this one. And the Rel play so far as well has been just phenomenal from Cafe, consistently finding these multi-man engages. We're still so early on. Doesn't even have the Magnet Storm yet.
That's it. Yeah, I'm a little jealous. He's following that champ pretty well. Definitely making me take notes here. He's doing a really good job with that. And this counter pick right here, Dobbin could be in a little bit of trouble, but he is punishing so hard. Look at the damage.
Shen is so low, can't really help out with this play. Death Realm is not available for Dobbin at the moment. Does still have the flash, though, and Graves is only level 5. The shield will come out. Mordekaiser's quite low, does have his own jungler who has arrived. Once again, Lee Sin exactly where he needs to be for the counter gank. Oh, it is Graves that manages to get one back. I don't know if Mordekaiser had to necessarily die there, but it will be something back now for Glacial Esports Black. They are on the board.
Yeah, Junha gets a kill for himself. That's good. This bot wave will crash here too. Looks like some nice damage coming in there from Silva. Leaving those autos in between this big wave, and he can just do a really easy job of clearing this with that Jinx. So the amount of damage that comes in through that rocket form, she can thin any wave. It's really hard to crash, build it up, and play for turrets against this champion. And GB, yeah, they barely have any damage on this turret, even with all the priority being established here in Akuma's bot lane.
Belly is the target right now for the Akuma Blades. Magnet Storm comes out. The Rel finds the engage once again onto the level 5 Jinx, who has Flash, I think, coming up so soon, but it's not in time. And the Jinx is going to go down, but does get the kill back onto Hakorum, and a shutdown, in fact, does go over to Silva there. So in the end, not too terrible of a trade for Glacial Esports.
Crucially, Silva gets that. That wave will end up crashing again bot side, so now wave state is even worse once again for GEB, but you're right. Silva gets that kill. It's a nice shutdown. At least we get something out of the trade, GEB says. And at this point right now, all they need to do, just keep scaling, get these ultimates. They do have plenty of windows to find these picks, make those plays, especially with that Shen ultimate available here very soon. So we'll see what they're able to do. But that kill on Silva, they needed that real bad.
They really did. And honestly, this does feel a little bit silly to say because Akuma Blades clearly are in the lead coming out of this early game, right? They have had the better setups so far, but the 2 kills that have gone over to Glacial Esports have both, I feel, been somewhat avoidable. Just like these kills going over the last possible second, you know, right as these Glacial Esports members are getting taken down, and you have to wonder if that is going to come back to bite Akuma a little bit later on. The fact that the Jinx is, you know, with that kill going over, able to not be at exact parity with the Ashe is minus the boots. But besides that, keeping it pretty close in that bot lane.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, in high stakes games like this, like of course this is a grand final, so like it's a best of 5. Sure, you got a lot of league to play, but you don't want to be making these mistakes early on. League is all about tempo, not just in the game, but outside of too. If you have these massive advantages on the enemy team, and you're picking champions that you have their comfort, you know that they can't be banned away from you. There's just too many bans in this current meta. Like, there's a lot of mental edges that come from that, and right now, Akuma, they still continue to have that mental edge. GB is doing a good job, though, of establishing some deep vision here in bot side. So Hexmas should be spotted out pretty much consistently here for the next 2.5, 3 minutes here. And he is setting up here for a bit of a lane gank. The last one did end up working out. Good trade. So we'll see. But he is wasting a bit of time on this right now.
One other thing that we do have to remember is that Lyoto has access to that Stand United. So as this second dragon spawns onto Summoner's Rift, we do have to consider the possibility that the Shen could be making it down here anytime. Magnustorm going to go wide this time around, but the Crystal Arrow will connect only onto the Rakan. The Shen is coming in. The quickness for the counter engage, and it's going to be the 4v3 for Glacial Esports down here in the bottom lane. Junaha picks up the first kill on the Rose, not able to get away. It's Lee Sin going back in, desperately trying to get that execution onto the Jinx, but doesn't quite have enough damage. About 50 HP left for Silva. Will survive now. It's the Rakan once again going in for the engage. Finds the great entrance. It's a flash forward for Hexmist again, desperately trying to get that kill back, but again, it's just not quite enough. And it will be Glacial Esports Black picking up the 2-for-1 in bot lane.
Just when Akuma, just when you think you have the numbers advantage, you go for a 3-man gank. Hexmas looking for a little something extra. Don't think he's gonna find too much though.
The Lee Sin there, so close to being able to trade those kills back, but Hexmist just not quite with enough damage. Went for the Gore Drinker build this game, obviously, so, you know, I'm not saying that that's the wrong build, but, you know, if he had a little bit more of an aggressive item.
It was so close. His Q ended up somehow missing Sly Lego there, and if it ends up hitting that Rakan, they definitely get that kill. They definitely get at least one kill, probably the follow-up kill on Silva too. It's tough to say for sure. Maybe a little bit of unluckiness there from the side of Akuma, or just big old brain play by Sly Lego, but that Q misses, and as soon as that missed, yeah, they get one kill out of it, but that 3v2 turned into a 5v3 very quickly. Akuma just did a great job collapsing. Or, excuse me, GB.
As you just mentioned, it was definitely really well played from Sly Lego as well, just dancing through that team fight and setting up the team really well for success, not going down himself. But this tier 1 turret in the bot lane will be going over. This is the first brick over to Akuma Blade, so they are able to bolster their gold lead up to about 3K at this point. Would really love to get this second dragon for themselves as well, but they're a little bit short on tempo at the moment. Scuttle Crab is going to get claimed by Junaha. Lee Sin going in. Crystal Arrow will connect onto the Shen, but the Rakan is here once again for the counter engage. There's going to be a Kali going in on the side. Lee Sin is connected to the Sonic Wave, not going to be taking that resonating strike back in. Rel, the first casualty of the fight. Mordekaiser has trapped Rakan in the death room. One more obliterate will not connect as Rakan dashes over the wall, and now Mordekaiser, surrounded by all of these Glacial Esports members, will not be able to get out. And once again, it is Glacial Esports Black with the team fight.
Yeah, just making so much happen with the champions that they have. And yeah, Akuma, they look for it, they almost find it, but at the end of the day, GB gets a couple extra kills there. Juna have 4-2 now at this point, right? He's got that 150 gold bounty. He's taking off. Sly Lego needs to be a little careful. The charm hits, and that's sad.
And resets for the RE. Gonna be able to dash over the wall here. Fluke looking for a little bit more. The Flame Chompers come down. RE, when is the charm cooldown back for you? The Zap will connect. The charm goes wide. Now Lee Sin is here to try and follow up on this one. Shen with the auto attack null zone. Not going to be able to survive. And Lee Sin underneath the turret. Gonna be able to get the kill this time onto that Jinx. Finishing what he started from the previous fight. And this time, Akuma Blades managed to secure the fight for themselves.
Both jungles, they're looking to be those carries that we were talking about in this draft phase, and 5-0 and 4-2. Juna could be caught with his pants down here by Dobbin, but no R available on the Mordekaiser is pretty safe. Graves, just what a nuisance.
Definitely.
Honestly, what a nuisance.
Yeah, just able to scoot himself over the wall there. Never really under any threat from the Mordekaiser. And yeah, the CS is definitely starting to build in favor of Junaha a little bit here. The overall gold still a little bit in favor of Hexmist, though. About 400 to the Lee Sin at the moment.
Yeah, and if you really take a look, we actually see just across the board very minimal difference in those junglers, but across the team itself, we're sitting at 4K right now at 15 minutes. Like
Yeah.
Akuma is just massively ahead in tempo here, ahead in the lead here, and Sly Lego is looking to play a little bit aggressive here, but I'm not so sure they can fight this.
Oh, the steal from the Super Mega Death Right. It's going to be Silva who locks down the objective, and Mordekaiser doesn't have flash, a little bit trapped in the pit at the moment. Hakurim is going to get assassinated off on the flank, and Akuma Blades did not have enough control over the area to safely take that objective, and they will be heavily punished.
There's no way I caster curse him so hard. I'm sorry, Akuma. That Jinx R though from Silva was so clean. It's like perfect timing. He nets that rift too, and
I mean, I don't want to give the Jinx too much credit there as a jungler. You know, you just kind of shoot the rocket in the general
what can you do?
direction,
Yeah.
right?
What can you
And
do?
yeah,
Like, you don't
there's
outsmite
nothing
it.
really that Hexmist could have done to prevent that. Really, you need somebody to block the rocket, right? If the
That's the
rocket
answer.
gets onto the objective, then you know there's nothing your jungler can do. The smite just doesn't do enough damage, especially at this point in the game. So, yeah, it was a well-timed rocket from Silva. We can give him that much at least. And Graves is getting engaged on by this Lee Sin, who's now feeling some pressure as the carry in this game to try and make some more stuff happen and keep Akuma Blades in a good position, but won't be able to find anything that time around.
Man, you actually do net out Leoto's TP as well here.
True.
Pretty worth, but
good point.
it is a Shen. It won't matter too much. Looks like Leoto's just going to be covering bot side anyways, so that TP doesn't really have too much of an impact on the game with that ultimate coming up here probably within the next minute and a half, 2 minutes, so still a lot of play available, and really at this point right now, at this 17-minute mark, it's going to be this next dragon. We do have a Hextech Rift, which means the Hextech Soul. So this Hextech Dragon is going to be extremely important here for both sides. Be interesting to see what team's able to get the setup first, because I think that's really going to be indicative of how this fight goes.
Flash Magnet Storm on it too. Once again, it is going to be Cafe with the engage, but the Rakan just a little bit too slippery, able to dash back underneath the turret, and that was everything committed from Cafe, and the team not able to successfully follow up.
Right before the dragon too. And I mean, you might have the Rel ultimate before the dragon. I don't quite know the timer on that, but you most certainly won't have that flash. And that's pretty unfortunate. You want to have that flash available, obviously, on that Rel. It's pretty crucial to be able to set up those plays, but not the end of the world, just the timer didn't quite work out. Fortunately, they burned Silva's flash, though, and that I would take the trade for.
Yeah, stun comes out to
damage.
prevent Graves from getting too much done there, but still, as you say, Turk, a lot of damage coming out from this Graves. Has that Ghost Blade completed. Remember, Ghost Blade is buffed. That wasn't on this patch, I believe, but the previous one, but still, that item pretty strong right now.
He's a bit of a man on a mission. He might actually... There's no way, right? Oh, don't do it.
I think he's going to get it. There's the end of the line and the
God.
auto attack. Junaha will be able to find that kill with the team pushing in mid lane as well. Easily able to fall back and rejoin with the rest of the squad. Shirley, going to get the charge onto the tier 2. Knockup comes through onto the Lee Sin. And he will be able to dash back towards safety, but the turret cannot run away. This is a huge push in the mid lane for Glacial Esports. They won't push their luck any further, though. They're going to take this opportunity to fall back towards the dragon and try and secure themselves this first Hextech.
Yeah, they most certainly are. And Akram looks like the side of Akuma. They want to contest this, but they need this Ashe to get here. Fortunately, they have the Hextech gates, and GB, they're ready for this.
Glacial Esports control over the river. Sly Lego is going to go in, easily able to dash back out. The Hex Gate going to be utilized by Cafe to try and find a little bit of a flank angle. Charm not going to land, though, for Fluke once again. And Akali's already threatening the back line. He's going to get burst down, though, by the Lee Sin. There's the counter pick into the Akali doing some work. Shen right now trapped in the Death Realm. Doesn't have his team for when he comes out. It's going to be Sly Lego goes back in looking for the hero engage on the Rakan, but it's the side of Akuma Blades that have already won out in the team fight. Leoto's going to get taken down on the back end. The Jinx Rocket, another good attempt from Silva, but it will be the first Hextech Drake and the team fight going over to the Blades.
So close, but so far, Akuma just nets that again, and they get themselves, that's right, they get themselves a Hextech off the back of that. Couple extra kills there. It looked like they could have got more. Sly Lego barely gets out on the back of that, and he lives. That's pretty crucial there for the side of GEB, but Akuma coming out ahead bit by bit in each fight, and for a while you can make the argument GEB is pawing its way back, but Akuma seems to just slam them back down once again, and they did a good job with that dragon. Looks like that could be a bit of a win con here for them within the next 8 to 10 minutes when that fourth dragon does spawn.
Certainly could be. And yeah, I mean, I definitely understand what Glacial Esports were hoping to accomplish there, right? They had just had a successful play in mid lane. You know, they had control over the river, so they definitely did have some things going for them. But ultimately, they had used up all their tempo for that mid push, right? They had a bunch of gold in pocket they hadn't spent yet, and they kind of opted into a fight. And when Akuma was a little bit stronger in that moment, and definitely didn't end up working out for him.
Yeah,
Glacial Esports, rather.
it's really off the back of the Graves damage that came through on the Ashe. Right, Hakram had to take that reset. He was late to be able to contest that. Then GB already had the setup there. Looked like things were going so well, and you thought for sure, wait, hold up.
He's Rakan.
Okay, yeah, true. What am I talking about? It looked like things were really, really poised there for GB to be able to continue to roll that, but Akuma just did such a good job at responding. Bit of damage here.
Sonic Wave. Oh, I just keep getting baited by all these dash champions.
Me too. It's yeah, it's tough. You gotta feel bad for a champion like Ashe, though, don't you?
True.
Designed how long ago?
Has the Ashe, but not the D in front. Yeah. So it's just makes things a little bit more difficult. But we do see Akuma Blades are playing for the top side of the map right now. Baron is live, has just spawned in pretty recently. And could be the target at the moment. We see Cafe with all those cooldowns back up and available, but Leoto senses it coming, backs away in time. We'll just give up that tier 1.
That's right, and both teams just jockeying for position on this map right now. Hexmist is playing for the Scuttle. Lego could be a little cheeky and try to take it. But GB recognizing the game state right now with 3 members of Akuma top side. Obviously, that's going to be strong side for them. So they play towards that bot side, look to take that blue, get a bit of deep vision for themselves here. And that's exactly what GB does. It's really good as a team. And
ooh, the Stand United has come out. Leoto has arrived to an empty bot lane. As the other 2 combatants are currently in the death realm. Shuriken backflip comes through, and Akali was winning that 1v1, by the way. Ari has teleported in. Fluke with the Spirit Rush trying to make something happen. Will be able to trade one back onto the enemy top laner, as that charm this time will connect. Lee Sin not able to take that one in. Would have to go over the Flame Chompers. Wouldn't work out for the Blind Monk, but will be able to get out to safety. Just that 1-for-1 in the bot lane, it seems.
Yeah, Leoto's just like on point with each and every one of his charms. And Hexman's just looking to be a little bit of a nuisance here. Not much will come through. Juna won't be deterred too much either. This Graves doing a lot of work for the side of GB. Pretty much at this point, single-handedly keeping them in the game.
Yeah, Hexmist is trying their best to get in the Graves' face, right? Trying to play in the enemy jungle as much as possible. To try and stop the Graves from continuing to snowball, right? If Graves is allowed to farm for free, then he does become a bit inevitable. Once we get, they're 5 or 8 minutes into this game, he's already strong, right? Obviously, but he is going to be almost insurmountable to try and deal with for Akuma Blades, as we move further into this game.
That's right. You're pretty much on the spiraling end of the spell curve now, too, if you're that Lee Sin, right? You might be 5-0 at this point right now, but you do not outscale that Graves. So in that 1v1, that isolation matchup, obviously League's not really about that all the time, but within the isolation matchup, there's no doubt that Graves will end up outscaling. And we saw the amount of damage that he's able to put on that Ashe not too long ago, but at this point now, he does have a second item. He's working on the components for his third, so this Graves, man, he's going to be ramping up real quick if he isn't there already. He's going to be doing a ton of damage. Juna has just done a great job of being able to accelerate the amount of CS, the lead that he's been able to generate from that, and the amount of gold that he has too. He's actually sitting at 1.1k ahead of Hexmist, who's currently 5-0-4. Both junglers are piloting their champions extremely well, right? Lee Sin is that bridge to get the rest of his team ahead, and Hexmist has done a fantastic job of this in this game 1, of course, but Juna equally on the same foot, right? Yeah. GB, just overall down so much tempo throughout most of this game, but off the back of him and the plays that he's making, finding so many different angles.
Absolutely. There was that one kind of tragic Drake early on for Junha, right, where he kind of got caught out on that one, and that was Akuma, able to stack up that first dragon. We got another dragon alive now as the teams square off once again in the bot side river. We do have Kaitazur on the flank, going to be looking for the back line on this Akali. Will he be able to find them? Is still pretty deep in the enemy jungle. It's going to be a Cafe actually peeling back to try and look for that Akali. It's going to be the Graves kicked out of the Dragon Pit. Smite should be able to come through here, but no, the Lee Sin ended up getting a little bit distracted, and the Smite will come through from Junha, who secures the Hextech Dragon. Now the reset's coming through from Silva to clean up the team fight. One more rocket to complete the kills onto the bot laners. Mordekaiser able to get away with the blast cone, but a decisive team fight for Glacial Esports. Silva picking up the triple kill, and now they are onto the Baron.
That's right, the pigs come through for the Baron. They deny that Dragon Soul point and net the Purple Worm for themselves on top of winning that team fight. Going, what, 4 for 1? Things are pretty good if you're GEB right now, and that's really off the back of Kaidazur. You were mentioning it there right before that fight ended up breaking out. The positioning that he had in that team fight was crucial. Constantly in the back of Akuma's mind, they know that that Akali is behind them. They cannot formulate, get proper front to back, which is what they want with this team comp. They're not able to do that there, and GEB does a great job recognizing that, and they make a lot happen with the positioning of that Akali.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of lost track of what happened to Hexmist in that fight. You know, he kicked Junaha out the back of the Dragon Pit, so that should have been the Smite Secure going over, but I lost track of the Lee Sin after that, so I'm not sure what happened to Hexmist after that prevented him from actually securing the objective, but, you know, the fight obviously didn't end up going their way either, and now we see Glacial Esports have flipped that gold lead on its head. They are now the ones completely in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they are, absolutely. And once you give a team like GEB a bit of this tempo, they can absolutely start taking inches and turning it into miles, and they do a really good job of this. You can see the 3 members of the GEB right now already setting up that vision. Kaidazur could be in a little bit of trouble, but don't forget, he is a Kali, level 16. He's still pretty safe here. They need that 3rd member. The Ashar is coming through.
It is. Will it land? I believe it did. Yeah, Kali gonna go golden to try and buy a little bit of time into the Shroud, but Lee Sin can reveal you in the Shroud. Gonna be following that up with the Resonate Strike, the Super Mega Death Rocket. They're trying to turn this one around. Here comes Junaha, and he blows away the Rel. In comes Sly Lego as well. It's a massive punish as Glacial Esports rally to defend their mid laner, and they absolutely wipe Akuma Blades off the Rift.
You wait for the Rel, the Ashar hits, but it's nothing but a bait. Nothing but a bait, and the rest of the Avengers assemble, and before you know it, it's a 4v4 or 4v3 bot side fight, and GEB just does a great job of recognizing that, using the Shen to its full ability here, and I wouldn't be surprised in this game number 2 if Leoto doesn't end up getting this champion. I feel like that should be banned away from him pretty much anytime that Phase 2 is available. So,
yeah, we know that
something to take quick note of.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it 100% is, and Silva 2 on this Jinx, like, this really just does fit GEB's style. Juna, have a little fun. Yeah, I mean, he's great.
Oh, we already used the quick draw, and do we have the collateral damage? We can get over the wall with another quick. Oh my goodness, Kaidazur is just going to go in and assassinate that Rel once again. Mordekaiser is also going to get taken down. This Akali is just running over the team fight now. The Shuriken Flip is going to connect even onto the Lee Sin. Not going to take this one in, though. It's going to be the flash taunt from Leoto. Sets up the next kill onto the Aria. Now it is 5v2. Glacial Esports in the enemy base. The safeguard for the Lee Sin to get away from that super mega death rocket. Silva's accuracy this game has been very much on point with those Jinx ults. The Nexus turrets will fall in sub 30 minutes. It's going to be Glacial Esports, the defending champions, here in the VTS with a decisive Game 1 victory.
You would have told me that at 28 minutes GEB wins Game 1, I would have called you a liar. I would have called you nothing but a liar. It looked like right away. I mean, we're talking about the 15-minute mark there. We saw Akuma, they had a 4K gold lead. Like, you think at 15 minutes, you would think that at 4K, or you would think that at 15 minutes with 4K, you would think that Akuma would be able to continue to accelerate and punish, especially with the team comp that they drafted. They did a really good job at picking around that mid-game spike, which is exactly what they were entering into in that 15-minute mark. But GEB just did such a good job of being able to deny the over-aggression that Akuma ended up putting out. And once they won one team fight, they were able to slow the pace of the game down enough that they were able to win another, and then continue snowballing. And before you know it, Silva on the back with the back of Leoto off those Shen, the ultimates being made left, right, and center. Those stand asides were they're just nutty, absolutely nutty. They came through, and the taunts were even better. So just Leoto with the Shen impacting the state of the game so much. And you want to talk about the R5 pick from Akuma there, coming in from the draft phase, being that Mordekaiser in isolation. Yeah, you did pretty well into Leoto, but With this man's signature champ, you just can't give him the Shen. And if you do, you see what happens. GEB just as a unit plays so well together. So many times we saw 3v2s from the side of Akuma going down towards bot lane looking for those kills. But before you know it, it's a 5v3. GEB is answered with all 5 members. They're fighting. They're cleaning up 2 at least of you guys. And before you know it, GEB ends up getting out ahead. Silva gets another kill, if not 2 off the back of that. And then the GEB can play the style that they're so good at, which is that front to back. And in this case, they had a little bit of a deviation, and I like to see it from Kaitazur playing really well around basically flanks, being able to deny some vision from the side of Akuma, and just GEB as a unit played very cohesively in a game that Akuma probably should have been able to clean up and win.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so, right? Akuma,
Yeah,
they maybe were slightly disadvantaged in terms of the scaling conversation. We
yeah,
didn't really get
exactly,
talking
for
about that
sure.
too much during the game, but like you said, Turk, they did have a pretty substantial lead at one point in this one. Dobbin with the R5 Mordekaiser was pretty comfortable in that laning phase for the most part, right? But ultimately was not able to prevent Lyoto from getting involved with the rest of the
Yeah,
team in those cross map fights, and that is really where the game was decided. We were worried, right, for the Glacial Esports comp as well, that maybe they were a little bit lacking in frontline, right? There was maybe a little bit of an over-aggressive draft for them in game one where they weren't going to have any tools to work with if they fell behind. But turns out, if Lyoto gets his hands on the Shen, that's all the frontline they need. And they had so many damage threats once they did start winning out in those fights, right? There was just too much for Akuma Blaze to try and deal with in that first one.
that's right. So now, obviously, if you're Akuma, you go back to the drawing board. What do you decide to do? Do you switch it up? Do you look to take blue side? Maybe you prioritize that Jinx pick yourself. But I think the first thing you could really start to question is the bans that you ended up putting out for game one. You saw the Swain, the Talia, and the MF for phase one. I don't think the MF ban's necessary. I don't think the Swain ban's necessary. I think you can draft around that in phase one. If anything, you ban those champions in phase two. Maybe the MF, but I don't think so. So I'd like to see a bit of a switch up there coming from Akuma. Maybe what they prioritize here, like really further bans. So in game one, they got to see how GEB likes to play. They recognized that Jinx is a priority for them. The Rakan is a priority. The Shen, the Graves, those champions all suit GEB's playstyle really well. So what does Akuma decide to do for game two? I don't know. I'm excited to find out, but there's definitely going to be some changes. It's going to be fun.
We shall see. Perhaps a swap to blue side as well, given the fact
Yeah.
that our R5 counter pick didn't necessarily accomplish all that we wanted it to. But before we get into that game number 2, Turk, who's your game 1 POG? Who do you think is the
June.
strongest performer on Glacial this
June.
time around?
I won't even waste your time. It's June. The guy was
All
the
right.
guy was
Yeah.
a monster. Like I don't know how he keeps his team. I don't know how he keeps his team in the game the way that he does there off that Graves pick. It's like Graves has no CC. You can't set anything up for yourself. All you can do is constantly be in the face of the enemy team, look to pressure, find kills when you can, be sneaky about it. Picking off the Ash one time in between tier 1 and tier 2 turrets, finding kills like that, like he just did such a good job of executing that champion in that playstyle, in that matchup that we both highlighted before this series began. So June just doing a great job of what he needs to do as his role in this team, and that's just carry. Just do what he needs to do and be that force himself. And yeah, game one, man, I'll give it to him. He pretty much single-handedly kept GEB in that game.
Well, fantastic, Turk. As I mentioned earlier on, I am a big fan of a nice carry jungle performance, and June definitely able to make it happen this time around. Was able to maintain really strong economy pretty much throughout the entire game, and then knew exactly when to go aggressive down the stretch there, make those plays happen for the squad. But guys, it is now time to go into that short break while we prepare to enter game number 2. Don't go anywhere. The VTS Fall 2023 Finals will continue right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back to the VTS Fall 23 Finals between first seed Akuma Blades and third seed Glacial Esports Black. The Blades, after getting taken down in game number 1, have elected to remain on the red side here for game 2. So, Turk, what kinds of adaptations are you expecting to see to come out from this squad?
The bans are going to be the big one for me. Akuma, again, we talked about real quick there at the end of game 1. Just highlight it one more time. The bans phase 1 for Akuma last game were Swain, Talia, and MF. Easily, 2 of those are interchangeable right away. Then MF ban does not need to come in. Maybe they decide to substitute that with the Jinx instead. So, looks like for their first one, they are going to stick with that Swain. That's going to come through. And GEB doesn't look like they really need to change anything up either. And work game 1, it'll probably work game 2. Probably keep the same third ban as well. So, pretty stock standard here for GEB for phase 1.
I mean, we should also remember, right, that Glacial Esports were losing that early game. So we shouldn't necessarily assume that they are not going to have any adaptations coming into this one. But certainly, things did obviously end up working out for them. And they did have, as we already covered, quite a bit of comfort in terms of their champions that they were piloting in that previous game. So wouldn't be too surprising to see them run back most, if not all, of that previous draft. And for Akuma Blades, running it back seems to be the strategy as well.
Yeah, they just say, we'll keep the same side, the same draft. Just a little bit of execution problems, just a little execution diff. So, and you know what? You're right. You can make the argument 100%. That's what it was. Like, Akuma got off to that 4K gold lead at 15 minutes. Really looked like they were the ones who could close that game out. It was their game to lose, and they keep things the same here. It looks like they have some different answers this time, though. We're going to get that Jinx B1 from GEB. That's expected, but the Akuma Ziggs and Kindred, that is not. That is fun.
So we are seeing some adaptations come through from the Blades. Very, very exciting picks early on here. The Ziggs, I think, makes a decent amount of sense. Is just generally a strong bot lane pick right now, and should be able to scale alongside the Jinx, and both of those champions will have a lot of damage later on into the game. But the Kindred getting locked in this early in the draft, Turk, does cause me a bit of concern.
Yeah, it does, and that seems to more be like a screw you pick. It's like Kindred does do well into that Graves, so if GEB does want to grab that Graves, obviously June himself, we're just going to get the Briar instead. But I think that's kind of what that Kindred might have been, but of course, it does still facilitate that carry role. It's not like it's bad by any means, so that Kindred does come through, but the Briar will be answered, and GEB, Juna, he barely ever gets his champion. I'm excited to see it. I've only casted like one of his Briar games out of the many games that I've casted of him by now. So, like, this guy doesn't get this champion very often. There's a pretty damn good reason, but Akuma, on the other side, they'll answer with that Alistar. Tends to do pretty well into that Rakan. The Rakan does have a lot of options to be able to make some outplays, and really it is more of a skill matchup than anything, but Alistar being a big, heavy priority pick in that Worlds as well, so both supports pretty stock standard from both sides. I'm really interested to see how this bot lane is going to play out, though. That Ziggs tends to do pretty well into the Jinx, and I guess we'll see.
Ziggs Alistar isn't really too much of a lane, though, in terms of, like, actually playing for the 2v2.
Exactly, yeah.
For the most part, I think we probably should expect the Ziggs to just be farming things out under the turret, and Alistar probably looking for some impacts in other places on the map. But the Alistar is also a really good pick with the Kindred, right? Because you can drop down the Lamb's Respite, and then you can headbutt one of those low health targets off of the invulnerability field and pick somebody off. So that can be a fun combo to go for. We'll see if they're going to be able to execute that at some point in this one, the Blades. But through our second ban phase already, Turk, with a heavy focus on top lane from both sides.
So phase 1 was the same, but phase 2 is very different. Akuma elects to ban that Shen and that Sylas, and they're going to pick the Ornn themselves here. So they want to deny that and take that pick. It's really strong for them. I mean, the Ornn tends to do really well into a mobile carries, and of course you've got that Jinx on the side of GEB, so I don't see anything wrong with that pick at all, especially with the pool that Leoto has. I know he does have some like pretty sneaky picks like the Volibear. I don't know much about the Volibear Ornn matchup, the details about that, but I'm sure that eventually the Ornn's just going to be fine anyways, so into this matchup, okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, we're going to see a little bit of Alawi here. Alawi's not bad either. Alawi's not too bad. Obviously, you got the Ziggs and the Kindred, which can keep their distance, but the Alistar has to close that gap. So, in isolation, that Alawi pops off, but in a team fight, I still think I got to give it to Ornn. So, it'll be fun, man. Like, that's what we like to see, I think.
All right. So this season, Leoto, obviously, I'll give us the Shen stats just for funsies. Obviously we didn't, we're not going to get to see Leoto on the Shen again for good reason. But those Shen stats are pretty bonkers, man. 114 games this season already on the Shen, 58% win rate over more than 100 games. So
What's his KDA?
uh, KDA is 3.75.
Damn,
He's
that's
pretty
not
good at
bad.
Shen.
That's not
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
little good. He's a
But I
little
I
good.
originally came here, Turk, for the Alawi stats. That's going to be 11 games, 55% win rate. So still pretty good.
Yeah,
KDA 2.
yeah. I want to bring us back really quick to that draft. That R5 to me really seems odd, especially with that Alawi that we were talking about there. I think the Galio into the RE in isolation
Yeah.
is pretty good. It does do pretty well into that Recon dive as well and the Briar dive, but the Galio having to play into that Alawi to me seems a little scary. Maybe more of that control mage might have been nice to see. Maybe like something like a
Oh.
Cinder from Akuma's R5. I don't think it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad by any means, but I will just highlight one of the flaws that immediately come to my smooth brain. So
Yeah. And I think
that,
it's fair to be critical, right, Turk? Because remember, Akuma Blades now have chosen red side
exactly.
2
Yeah.
games in a row, and we need to see them get some value out of this R5 counterpick. Otherwise, why are you choosing red side?
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, R5 game one, right? We saw the Mordekaiser. It worked out for the first 15 minutes, I'd say. Nothing really came out of a Stand United until probably about that point, but then Leota started to impact the map, and the Shen was just far too much for Kuma to be able to deal with. And yeah, the R5 this time is going to be that Galio, and yeah, man, I'm not super sold on it here for this game too. It has a lot of setup. There's a lot of CC that you have with that champion. You can make a lot of plays happen. It's anti-dive, which is good into Rakan. It's good into Briar. But you still have to close the gap onto that Alawi. You still have to close the gap into a Jinx. Things are not going to be as easy as I think maybe Akuma is hoping for. And they also don't really have a consistent marksman besides that Kindred itself, right? They have that Ziggs and they have that Galio.
Yeah, well, that is actually the other thing that I did want to briefly mention, Turk. Just the fact that the Galio does
Assurance that the
also
GEP does.
had, I think, a brief internet connectivity issue there.
Probably.
Yeah, but a great point, of course, with the Galio. I did also just want to jump in and say that the Galio is a strong pairing as well with the Kindred, right? So, I'm a bit of a Kindred enjoyer myself. You definitely want early priority in the mid lane, especially with this pick, to try and get that early control, stack up those first couple of marks. So, if Kindred can have a good game here, if Hex missed, who did have a really strong early game in game number 1 as well, can really get pretty fed here in this one, then I do think this is a good draft to be playing Kindred with. There are still going to be some difficulties on the other side here. I do feel like the Briar is feeling like a pretty strong pick into the Kindred. I don't know the most about Briar yet. I don't really know her ability names yet either, so that's going to be fun. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Do you have a strong preference for one of these drafts or the other, Turk, here for game 2?
It's a little harder for me for this game here. Like some of these
Yeah.
comps to me, they just seem a little less standard from what I guess normally you would see just in general in the competitive scene. I mean, if I had to pick something at face value here, I would probably still say that like I think GEB's comp is pretty solid. That Alawi pick itself is probably pretty much the big red flag for me, but GEB has drafted a pretty solid pick comp for themselves. They have the Rakan, they have the Briar, they have the Ari. If they're able to like land those charms, land the CC together, and then kind of sync that up. We've already seen what Silva can do on this Jinx. He's going to be consistent. We know that. The damage is going to come through from that champion, from that man. He's going to play that champion very well. So I think from what I'm seeing here for game 2, I like it. I think GB's drafted themselves a good comp. On the other side, like Akuma, I think they've done pretty well too for themselves, right? They have that Ziggs, which does well into the Jinx in isolation. You do have quite a bit of siege from that champion, so you can look to make some plays, especially if you play around that Rift Herald. Net that, swing that, drop a bot side play for that first turret. You can get that Ziggs out of that lane really quickly, and start to accelerate the game that much more. Like Akuma has a lot of options in their comp. They have that Kindred champion, and you're right. We saw Hexmas pop off game 1, did really well on that Lee Sin, but eventually you're going to hit that curve, and when you hit that curve, you're just not going to be as impactful as a champion like Graves. But in game 2, you get that Kindred. There's really no signs of slowing down on that champion. So draft themselves a good front line. They have good carry through their jungle. They have good siege through the Ziggs. Akuma has a good comp too, but for me, GEB, I'm going to give it to them here for this game too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Blades definitely seem to have invested pretty much all of their draft bucks into the jungler, into Hexmist this time around. And I do think their composition is pretty cohesive here, but they are going to need to bounce back after that tough loss in game number 1. And on the other side, Glacial Esports, they have the momentum now, looking to defend their title and potentially go up to match point here if they win this second game. Don't go anywhere, guys. On the other side of the break, we are going to have game number 2. See you there.
See you soon.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Summoner's Rift for game number 2 of tonight's VTS finals. We do have the same sides as game number 1, Glacial Esports Black once again on the blue side and Akuma Blades on the red side, making sure that we can keep that color synergy nice and strong.
Oh, it
And the
really
bright
is about
side-
that synergy, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the main reason that the Akuma Blades went back to the red side, right? Is because it just fits so well with their logo. Just works
Look
really,
good.
really nice.
Look good, feel good, play good. In that
Mhm.
order. And we're also
Definitely
going to see the
looking
order.
good.
Yeah,
Hopefully they're
100%.
feeling good.
That's it. Yeah, we're going to see that order. It looks like pretty much a 5-point here. Coming in, Hexmist just going to drop that ward and basically supplement himself with that ward itself. So it looks like he's going to be starting top, pathing towards that bot side, while Juna could actually be pathing towards this Alawi here. So Leoto on this champion. This is pretty unique for the both of us. Whenever we cast a GEB match, usually it's Leoto being that weak side warrior. This time he will be that weak side warrior, but as that Alawi, you could almost make the argument that he's actually going to be strong side. He wants people to gank him. He's going to be a menace. I have that funny feeling about this pick here. Is going to do really well into this Ord. So early on, we're just going to see Dobbin. He's going to walk into that blue, try to spot out the enemy jungler. Doesn't see him, and the pings are already coming down. So Juna should be known that he's starting on the spot side right now. And Akuma, they did a good job early on. and their bot side in game 1. They had a ton of priority. They got those 2 kills on Hackerum on that Ashe, but it just seemed like things weren't able to translate. And Leoto doing a really good job with his damage right away.
Absolutely. I mean, Ornn can't do much in this lane against the Alawi, especially early on before he even has access to the full kit, right? Alawi's just going to keep bonking him with the hammer. And there's just not a whole lot that the Ornn can do about it. One interesting thing to note here, Turk, is there was a very heavy commitment from the Akuma Blades at level 1 here. They invested 4 of their trinket wards at level 1 to try and get as much information as possible into what the early pathing is going to be from Junha. I don't know if they've actually spotted out the Briar just yet, though.
I don't think they have, no. Eventually this ward up towards this top side will, though. It's going to be up for the next 30 seconds, so by the time that June actually ends up getting there, you should know that this has been a full clear here from the Briar coming in. Usually against that Briar, you want to do something early if you can invade, make those plays happen. The Kindred does have those windows to look for something to make a play, but Hexmist elects just to do this full clear from topside into bot, and it could just be a stock standard like reset after him after he grabs his bot side scuttle. Both junglers might just trade that, and nothing really too crazy here from this game number 2.
Yeah. Of course, Alistar early on in the laning phase doesn't have to be doing too much either. He's going to go in there for the headbutt pulverize, counter engage once again from Sly Lego, just like we saw in that previous game. But yeah, the Kindred, you're absolutely right there. Turk can look for some early aggressive moves, but Hexmist has opted for the Conqueror this time around, as opposed to something like the Press the Attack. So that is a little bit of a weaker rune in terms of the early game.
Yeah, well, you see those emotes coming out?
Yeah, do a little emoting down here in the bot lane.
Little friendly banter. You gotta love it. And sometimes, as the ally, I'll do that myself too. So hey, it is what it is. No harm done at all. But you're right. The mark too, the RNG mark here.
Ooh, that's a nice knock up. The brittle auto comes through. The Ornn though not going to commit the flash. Not fully confident that that last bonk from the hammer was actually going to finish off the Alawi.
And it almost happened there. Leono is going to get the jump on this reset. Probably doesn't need to burn that TP either. So, going to be able to save that there. Keep it. He will actually end up burning it himself. Even though I think the wave is actually slow pushing a bit back towards him. Long story short, GEB's in a good spot. Looks like the same can be said for Akuma. Both teams just want to scale up right now and really start to look to get ahead here. And we'll see how this Galio pick ends up playing things out here when this 6 hits. Looks like both carries, or both...
Is taking the Krugs at the moment. He's going to go Berserk for a moment also and lay in some auto attacks into the Kindred, but the mounting Dread will get stacked up, and Kindred's going to just pick up a little bit of a freebie here at the 4.5 minute mark.
Yeah, and I mean, Hexmist is happy to take that. The Pulv comes in here. Bit of damage. Nothing too crazy, though.
Yeah. Sly Lego already used the Grand Entrance, so not going to be able to lock down that cow. Stepping very far forward, actually. Gonna get pulverized, but is able to dash back to the Jinx, and now Alistar's all out of skills, and that is going to be the kill going over to Silva. Ari now on the run. Galio has extended pretty deep for this one, though. The charm is going to connect onto the Kindred, who flashes over the wall, but the double flash follow comes through from the mid-jungle. The Dragon almost helping out the Kindred there with a little bit of peel, but it was not enough. The move speed from the Ari gets Kaitazur in range for one more Orb of Deception, and that is going to be Glacial Esports Black taking the lead in the early game.
Yeah, taking the lead and netting that Dragon on the top of that too, so the neutral objective advantage is going to go towards them. Looks like things are going A-okay for GEB off a bit of a shaky early game there. June just end up walking towards that top side. Basically the catalyst for the entirety of the next plays for the next 2 minutes here, but ends up just basically going down for free for Hexmist, but a bit of an overextension there from Akuma towards bot lane and mid, invading on that jungle, and GEB comes out ahead. They net that Dragon in the process.
Yeah. There's going to be a turret play going over down to the Alawi as well, who did manage to hit that level 6 mark first, thanks to getting the push on all these waves. And continuing to win out, obviously, in these trades against the Ornn as well.
The ping's coming in bot side here for Akuma. Hexmist, yeah, the pings are still coming through. Looks like they might end up playing for those Krugs. They might be able to find something here, but Hackerum, he does need to reset. Does have the TP.
Junhaha is on the other side of the map, but yeah, the Ziggs is going to have to go back to base here. So, I mean, Galio's also going to look for this. Has the Hero's entrance. Is going to get the knock-up onto the Jinx, who does manage to get underneath the turret. And this is so much committed in Akuma. You don't have your Ziggs. Your Ziggs isn't even here. They are going to go underneath the turret for this one. The Pulverized will land. It takes so long, but they finally managed to take down Silva. Rakan is also going to be forced to flash back underneath the turret to stay alive. So, not the cleanest, but it does end up working out for the Blades.
Like, they don't even have hacker room, and they're doing that. You know, like, macro-wise, it's not the cleanest, but micro-wise, it's pretty damn good. Like, they pulled that off without a Ziggs. They made a lot happen there. They just netted a kill there, ended up taking out Silva, and when Silva dies, he misses that wave in the process, too. They're going to push this next bot wave in. It's going to slow push back to them, and Akuma made a lot of plays. What happens here with Dobbin, though?
Well, this is the counterpunch that is going to come through from Glacial Esports. Black, the Forge God is not going to be able to be called upon as the easy 2v1 dive comes out from Glacial Black.
And the cross maps from GEB, they're just so consistent. Each time the enemy team makes a play towards the bot or the top side, the counter's matched here, and Hexmist is going to stop this.
We have Cafe's Alistar roamed up towards the top lane, but the resets have already come through, and there's nothing here to find for the Blades. They do have the Herald coming up in about 10 seconds, though.
That's it, and crucially, he does show towards that top side, so that should allow Sly Lego to walk in towards the bot jungle. Get some more deeper vision there, set up for the rest of his team. Kind of spot Hexmist pathing here. So, a little bit of a heads up, just a good decision there coming in from GEB. A little bit of extra deep vision here, and both supports hovering towards the mid lane.
Yeah, both supports in the mid lane. The Kindred just spent a whole bunch of time in the top lane, just kind of pushing in that wave for Dobbin. Just taking kind of all that CS from the Ornn, who's already behind. Clearly wanted the Ornn to move over into the river and help out with the Rift Herald. So that is why there was some urgency in getting that wave pushed in. Galio flashing away from the grand entrance. Attempted setup from Sly Lego, pretty good. Not able to lock anybody down, though. And the Herald looks like it will go over. Junaha's not in the area, so the smite is good from Hexmist. Ooh, but can they pick up the eyeball as all these other Glacial members are in position to defend the prize? And in the end, it looks like Akuma Blade's not going to be able to get anything.
And that's Sly Lego just being there. The Rakan is able to make that play, equalize the number advantage. And with Junaha's ultimate available, it seems like Akuma's playing a little more passive. And unfortunately, they get the Rift, which is the gold. That's nice, but they don't actually pick up the eye. So at the end of the day, not much is really gained there. And good heads up play from Sly Lego to recognize that. He passed there while Cafe Chio Calada, love that name, is heading down towards that bot side. And he's really trapped at that point when he's in his own jungle. He can't move, and you gotta feel bad for Dobbin too. It seems like he's pretty trapped here. This is almost prison.
Oh yeah, I mean this has been a completely miserable game for the Orange so far.
It's illegal. This is like Alcatraz, man. Not okay.
And then he's gonna feel extra bad now because like he invested all that time where he could have spent farming in the lane trying to catch up a little bit. Oh, hang on a second, the Forge God gonna get called up with the tentacle slams down, and things going bad to worse for Dobbin.
What do you do? What do you do if you're the Ornn?
I don't know, man. You just keep... He's doing everything that he can. I don't think there's much else you can do.
You just do it. Yeah. I mean, at this point right now, it's unfortunate. You have to burn that TP towards that top side to keep yourself at pace with the auto, but let's be real. You're 2 levels down at this point right now. Fortunately, you did just hit level 8, maybe 1.5 levels, but you need to group up with your team. You need to force fights with your ultimate. There's no way you could take these solo pushes or anything like that at this point.
Yeah. You know, we can maybe find some silver linings for the Blades here. They have some other tanks on their team, so while the Ornn is not going to be especially tanky for at least quite a while, they do have some other frontline options to try and create some space for the Kindred and for the Ziggs.
Yes, they do. And right now, the priority is coming down towards this dragon once again. And in both games, we've seen a lot of this being set up around the GEB. They really prioritize this first dragon here. And Kaitazura is walking, but this river really is quite dark for both sides. That pink should be cleared out here pretty soon, too. So GEB back to square one with this vision, too.
Both mid and bot lane pretty neutral at the moment, as minion waves have met in the middle of both of those lanes. We did see Akuma Blades able to get into the river first to put down a little bit of vision, but now Sly Lego moving in to try and get some vision for the other side. As, yeah, Dobbin's still getting some tentacles slapped on
TP
him.
is coming in. The advantage
Teleport
is there from
advantage.
GEB.
Yeah, that's going to be the top laner for Glacial Esports, making their way down into this bot side river. The Hero's Entrance will come out from the Galio, but remember, this is a 5v4 for the blue side, and the Alawi ultimate has come out, and the zone control is good, but the shutdown will actually go over with a certain death. Comes out, Drunaha connects it onto the enemy mid laner, and now once again the reset's coming through for Silva. Lamb's Respite just to buy a moment, just enough time for Kindred to offer up one more prayer to whatever god they believe in as they get cut down once again, and it will be Dragon number 2 for the defending champs.
And that's based off that TP advantage. You know GEB's communicating that the whole time too. And Leoto, he just burns that TP early on, makes that a 5v4 fight, and Akuma, they had a really good start to it, but ultimately they just don't have the numbers advantage. And at that point, you know that you're going to lose the extended trade, and that charm comes through, lands it on Hexmist, and I don't think he was expecting it either. Could be a threat. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that Death Rocket accuracy has been pretty good for Silva tonight.
Ah, that's sad. That's really sad there for Hackerum. He definitely didn't want to go down there, but Silva, I mean...
Flash.
Yeah, that's it. He had Flash. He has TP, so he'll be able to get back here in lane and shoot.
And the stun onto the Alistar with the head bop there. Chilling Scream going to briefly be utilized as well. So yeah, I'm getting those prior ability names. But
You're cheating.
yeah, I don't think the
looking.
Alistar is going to be able to find too much of a punish here.
I don't think so. Are you looking at the ability names?
Well, obviously I did cheat a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, open book. It's open book test.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to feel bad about that.
No, not at all. I mean, I still don't quite know the names, and I could be looking right now myself, but I'm not.
There you go. Well, it's there if you need it.
And
but
Leoto,
Discord Spirit
can't
is
win, too.
just continuously being tested in this top lane. Does have his jungler, at least in the area right now, to potentially prevent any dives from coming out. And they are actually going to look for a bit of a play onto the Alawi, who does have the ultimate, though. The Exhaust did come out to deny a lot of this damage. That is going to prevent Ornn and Kindred from getting immediately one-shot. But the return on the Orb of Deception and a little bit of dot coming through from the Alawi as well will pick up the kill. And Hexmist, I think, going... and trying to help out this lane was always a little bit of an ill-fated strategic decision, as Galio now had also teleported in to try and salvage this. Will sidestep the certain death, and so will manage to stay alive, but this game is quickly falling away from the Blades.
Yeah, it sure is. And I'm taking a quick look bot side to see what they're able to get, and it won't even be the turret right now here. That Ziggs eventually will net it, but at the end of the day, GEB just playing so well as a unit together, and once again taking advantage of that TP. They just burn it quick, decisive. Before you know it, Kaido's there on this Ari, he's here, and the charm doesn't connect, but the Orb of Deception does. They net the kill off the back of that. Leoto ends up picking that up, so that man's on a mission. He's on a tear right now. He's got the Black Cleaver complete, and he's got a lot of gold in his inventory too. Like, GEB's going to win this split. They're going to win this 4v4 right now. It's really difficult if you're Akuma to be able to find anything to make plays happen. I think really at this point you need to get Dobbin on this Ornn into a fight where you can get some sort of 5v4 matchup with Leota's TP down. You have these small windows to find something to make happen, but GEB, they just constantly do such a good job by playing as a team and just being so cohesive about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you do at least have Kraken Slayer for Kindred and Leandries for Ziggs, but all those first item spikes have come through for Glacial Esports as well. I'm not convinced that even with the Ornn, Akuma could win a 5v5 at this point in the game.
That's it. I agree with you. I don't think they can win a 5v5.
Oh dear, that's going to be some CC coming out. The Hero's Entrance immediately in response. Galio recognizing that the Kindred can die really quickly, and that is going to be it. The kill once again. Silva finds his target, and now the Galio's not going to be able to get away either as the Grand Entrance just to keep him in place. Kites are able to pick up number 3. The certain death connecting now onto the Alistar as well as the Indomitable Will, but he is not going to be able to make it out either. Sly Lego able to pick up the last hit. Well deserved, honestly, for the Recon Charm. Just going to go a little bit wide left there. The Inferno Bomb, not quite enough damage to finish off the jungler. It's going to be the 3-for-0 team fight. Glacial Esports taking full control.
Yeah, and it just goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? We're talking about you can't win fights when you're evenly matched at this point in numbers. It's just not going to happen, and before you know it, that Jinxer comes through, and look at the damage here.
Hexmist, you can see it.
Yeah.
Chasing forward onto the Briar when you're already 2 levels down. Is going to toss out the Lamb's Respite, but there is very little help coming. The Forge God will come out, but this Ornn is so far behind, he really just can't do much. That's going to be the kill onto the jungler with only 40 seconds till the dragon spawns.
Yeah, the pace of this game is just being accelerated. Not even so much by GEB, but really overextensions from Akuma. They want to find something, they want to make a play, but ultimately there just isn't that window for you to be able to do it. You need the numbers advantage. Chances are you need to have at least a 2-man advantage. I don't think you can even win with a 4v5 at this point. Like, it's a bit of an unfortunate state of reality for Akuma. You have to deal with what's given to you right now, but Leoto on this pocket pick Alawi, which is something both you and I did not expect to see, is just doing such a good job. And unfortunately, the Galio really seems like it's just starting to get punished too. The range just isn't there, and Leoto, no matter what side lane he goes, he's able to outmatch the solo laners. It's so difficult right now if you're Akuma to be able to grab some sort of foothold into this match. Like, if you don't win split, you don't win split. That's fine. But do you win a team fight? The answer is no. Well, do you win skirmishes? The answer is no. It's like, how do you get back in this game? And I mean, the rational part of my brain would say, you know, play off vision control.
You could just steal a dragon.
I guess you could do that.
That would be one thing you could do.
Yeah, okay. No, how can you argue that?
Andrews picking that one up. A smite not quite there for Junaha this time around. That means Cloud's soul point will be delayed. But still going to be so much pressure coming out from Leoto in the side lane here. And looks like they are going to hope to secure Shirley as a bit of a consolation prize as Glacial Esports.
That's right. Yeah, and they will slow down the soul. You're 100% right on that. Basically 10 minutes from this point right now is when that soul should be in contention. Unless, once again, we get another spicy steal coming in from the Ziggs. And that was nice. Like, if you're able to buy that time for your team and the grand finals of all things, like, that's what you need to be able to do. So, Game 2, at least that's something good. Maybe a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel here, but could be a little copium. Gotta be real with you.
Still down 6k golds for the side of Akuma Blades. You know, the Kindred, let's get a quick mark check on the Kindred. 5 marks. Okay, so the Kindred has at least been able to stack up the passive a little bit here. But ultimately, I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Leoto with the Alawi ultimate will come out down here in the bot lane. The Leap of Faith in 1v3. Will it be enough to take down the Tentacle Lady going in with the W? Not enough. That is going to be the kill onto Alawi, but surely in the top lane is going to get this charge into the tier 3. Is Kaitazur going to be able to finish off this structure? Certain death not going to land for the Briar. The tower will fall. Horn, Dobbin charging away, now has the ultimate, trying to set up onto this Ahri, but easily Spirit rushes away from that one, does Kaitazur. And the rest of the team for Glacial looking to potentially come up and threaten this inhibitor, but they'll think better of it for now. Just back away.
And it will be a 1-for-1 on the map, but overall GB is going to trade up once again. They're going to let the tier 3 expose that inhibitor in that top side, so things are going pretty well for them, and that's really to be expected at this point right now. If you're not trading up as GEB, you're basically losing any sort of even trade at this point right now. It's just pretty detrimental to the game state itself, but GEB, they're a good team. They recognize that. Junaha, however, be in a little bit of trouble. Maybe they don't recognize it too much.
As much as you were hoping they did.
Yeah, maybe not. Hexmist.
Look who this is. Hexmist. What are you doing over here, man? He's going to flash over a wall. And, ooh, the rocket is going to go wide to the left, but already now on the chase. He's going to have Spirit Rush back in just a second here, so this Kindred has absolutely nowhere to go. Just going to accept their demise. No respite for the Lamb this time around, but this is looking like a kill out of the... Oh, that Gore Drinker healing was really gross. But Briar, I still don't think there's any way out of this situation. Does manage to get the fear onto 2. The teleport is coming out from the Ahri. It's taking way too long to kill this Briar. They do eventually go down, and both the soul laners have arrived now for GEP, and everything has already been used on the side of Akuma Blades. The mid laner is going to get locked up first. The grand entrance now onto the Alistar, who will be next to fall. Who is this kill going over to? The Ahri picks it up with an auto attack. Dobbin at least will be able to meander out towards safety, but Akuma Blades, they got the kill, but at what cost?
What was that? What is that Briar champion?
Trying to kill Briar with an Ornn, a Galio, and an Alistar.
Yeah, that Gore Drinker was clean, but just the lifesteal of that champion's ridiculous. And the response from GP is there.
I don't think it was a problem with the lifesteal. I think it's just the fact that Akuma Blades weren't doing any damage.
Yeah, that could be it, too. That could be it. Yeah, the Gene CC, it layered really nice at the beginning there. You thought for sure June was just going to go down like right away, but he doesn't. That Gore Drinker buys so much time, and then the rest of that damage, the lifesteal in that kit. And you're right, on the side of, unfortunately, Akuma, they just don't have it either. They don't have the damage, so enough times bot, the double TP comes through from GEB, they net a couple extra kills, and once again, they just clean up on the map. Continuously trade up in each fight, no matter what. Even if Akuma's making a cross-map play, GEB will do the same. They'll make a cross-map play, and then they'll answer and respond, so they're always trading up.
And they're going to have another shot at this Cloud Soul point as well in just about 40 seconds here. If that is going to be what we are playing for, as they do also have the Baron option available to them as well. The gold lead this size, you have to imagine that that should be a very securable.
The threat's there for sure. As long as they bounce their waves appropriately, and they don't make too many mistakes in between then and there, they should be able to establish vision, much like what they're doing right now, and then start to really look for that objective themselves. But yeah, I mean, Akuma's doing a good job of being able to respond to this pressure. Just recognizing that, yeah, they need to be able to get the vision set up here. It doesn't really matter if they give up this dragon right now. It's soul point, but even the soul itself isn't absolutely detrimental. But I'll tell you what is. It's Leoto on that champion. I don't know what you can do about that Alawi. It's a ticking time bomb that's already gone off, and you're just waiting for the shockwave. You know it's going to come. It's going to hit you.
Okay.
It's doomed.
Right, Azur, able to get away from the Galio there. Leoto, as you say, keeping up the pressure in the side lane. Junaha going to secure this Cloud Drake solo. And the rest of the team just going to play this out nice and calmly. Not going to be forcing the issue anywhere else. They're just waiting for their jungler to secure that objective. Rakan will go in to find a knockup onto the Alistar. Not too much else going to come through. Leoto, unanswered, just the Ornn here to try and defend, and he is just insufficient, unfortunately, for Akuma Blades. That tier 2 in the bot lane will go down. It's pressure across the map here for Glacial Esports. It's going to be the side of Akuma Blades. They need to find something soon, but it's them who might be found. The hero's entrance does come out to keep the Alistar alive, but that was two really key team-fighting ultimates that had to be used defensively for the Blades, and Leoto is just completely untouched still here in the side lane. Baron has been started up. We do have Hex Mist here in the area with the Smite and the Kindred Ultimate. Potential for some shenanigans there, but the turn was always going to come through from the side of Glacial Esports. They easily take down the mid laner, and now with the Jinx resets, they should be able to find some more. The Lamb's Respite will come out, but once again, this Kindred, I think, just has nowhere to go. It's going to be a flash away to stay alive. Here's the Kindred does go down. Call of the Forge God will come out, but it's just Dobbin buying some moments, as much time as possible with Kindred already taken down. There's just not the DPS to carry through this fight. The Ziggs damage is pretty good, though. If we could land a couple more of these bombs, Hakuram did have a chance to do some cleanup there, but in the end, nobody is answering the Alawi now as Dobbin teleported in to try and help out the team in that ill-fated engage, and now the base has been blown open.
And GEB just pulling the pendulum left, right. It's so hard to be able to match. And Dobbin, he's looking to find a kill on Leoto, but he still has his R. Like, they have to be so careful with this. Oh, I think he missed.
Oh, I think he did, and he's running very low on mana as well. So the Alawi finally going to get taken down here, it seems. They are doing this very carefully, as they should. Don't want to give her any easy Ws to get that healing out. They will eventually be able to take her down. And the rest of Glacial Esports not actually in position to rush down that Baron. So with Mega Death Rocket not going to connect. The Certain Death also going to go a little bit wide there, but Kaitazor didn't need any help. Just easily able to find that solo kill in the side lane onto the Ziggs. Ari has more than enough mobility to make that happen. And now we do have a 4v4 rather, on Summoner's Rift for the next 20 seconds.
That's right. And this vision could be established right now in this topside jungle, and GEB's doing a really good job of that. And yeah, it really is this game of push and pull that GEB as a team does so well. Obviously, Leoto, he just can't be matched in that bot side lane. And Dobbin, he knows that he has to TB, so of course they force that fight. Even with the 4v5, GEB still ends up coming out ahead off a nice engage from Sly Lego in June. And things just really start to connect. And take a look at this TP right now in this bot side side wave. This pressure's going to come through.
Oh, they can just peel off the Baron once again, though. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Nobody is in the base to answer Alawi right now. They don't have to finish the Baron here. Oh, Galio is going to get right into the thick of things. Finds a taunt onto a couple of members, but Briar, we've seen it takes a long time to burst this champion down. The healing is there. The hero's entrance is going to come out, but now everything is being committed by Akuma Blades for the team fight. They're still not winning it. Oh, they did have their Ziggs, did go back to try and defend the base against Alawi, but with Ziggs not there, that just wasn't even close to enough damage to actually take down that Briar, or anybody else for that matter, as the Certain Death will connect onto the last surviving member, who will be able to make it back onto the fountain and barely survive, but the Nexus turrets will fall, and Glacial Esports Black will go up 2-0 in these finals.
Yeah, They sure will, and they did it so decisively in game number 2. In game one, Akuma, it was their game to lose, but in game 2, it wasn't even close. GEB never even once was that an afterthought in any one of those players' minds, and they just did exactly what they needed to do. It's just pure execution, and I mean, you look at it, right? Akuma game 1, right? They have side select. They are the higher seed. They take red. Game 2, they decide, nope, it has nothing to do with the side or anything like that. We'll keep things the same. We'll keep the same bans for phase 1. We'll keep the same side. And they end up having a couple different answers this time, the main one being the Ziggs and the Kindred, but those two picks, they just didn't solidify. They didn't really amount to much. And GB, they stuck with what worked for them game 1, right? Obviously, the one deviation, especially being that Alawi, right? But at the end of the day, GB, they just did what they needed to do, and they did it so decisively in game number 2. And if you're the side of Akuma, now you got to wonder, right? Game 2, it didn't work out when you tried to do the same thing. Game 3, what do you decide to do here? And you and I talked about at the end of
No.
game 1. Maybe they switch over to blue side. They themselves put the priority on the Jinx, or they at least force it to be banned. I still think that they should adapt and change a couple of their bans. I don't think that the Misfortune here is worth it in phase 1. I don't think that the Swain is worth it in phase 1 either. It's just my opinion. But Akuma for game 3, I'd like to see something drastically different for their draft. I think if you look at their track record, I mean, they're the first seed. They've done a really good job of being able to get themselves into that position. They've already 2-0 GEB. At this point right now, I think they just need to kind of dial in their phase 1, their bans, what they want to do with it, and then figure things out from there. And I think as long as they set themselves up draft-wise, they've already proven in game 1 that they can take a lead and accelerate it. They just need to be able to close that game out. And I think for game 3, they need to be able to make that happen.
Of course, Turk. Yes, if they can't make it happen in game 3, then that is going to do it, right? They're not going to have any more chances after that if they're not able to find a win here. But, you know, you're absolutely right as well. We do know that this Akuma Blades team has what it takes to get a win against this Glacial Esports Black squad, right? They've done it earlier this season. Their first place at the end of the regular season, as you already mentioned. So, you know, it's just a question of them being able to find their footing tonight because Glacial Esports, you know, for this finals just seems to have their number at the moment. You know, I think you're definitely right about the Misfortune ban. You know, maybe it's good for them in theory, but when Silva has looked this good on the Jinx, like, and you're just giving him Jinx, then what's the point, really? But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here what we do have in store for us for game number 3 is absolute dominance from Glacial Esports Black here in the second one, though. So definitely hoping for some pretty drastic changes, I think, to come out for the Akuma Blades in order to give themselves a better chance in this next one. But before we get there, Turk, your game 2 POG, what are you thinking?
It's a good question. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I got to give it to Leoto. A lot of the times he really is the unsung hero, right? But that Alawi pick is a bit of a pocket pick. You don't really ever see that style of champion come out from him, and he piloted it really well. He absorbed so much pressure in the side lane, and Akuma, they didn't draft as good as what they could around it, but there's no doubt that nobody can match that Alawi split push. No matter what lane she decided to go to, Alawi's going to have constant pressure. They did a really good job, and it was a good answer into the R4 Ornn from Akuma. So I think, yeah, for game number 2, I'll give it to Leoto. Just truly, truly the unsung hero, the weak side warrior.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very strong weak side from
Yeah,
Leoto.
strong weak side for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the bot lane, Jinx Rakan, another phenomenal performance down there from those guys, and the Ahri and the Briar were looking pretty good as well. But I like the Leoto vote. Definitely seemed like the highest impact player in that one, just completely dominant in that side lane. Like you said, drawing so many resources and just making it pretty impossible for Akuma Blades to play the game. But it is time now, guys, to get into that break, and then we will jump into our game number 3, potentially the last game of the season. Don't go anywhere.
See you soon.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the VTS Finals. Once again, the Akuma Blades, after going down 0-2 in tonight's best of 5, have finally decided to move over onto the blue side Turk. An adaptation that I think we were expecting to see, but they're probably going to need a little bit more to try and turn this series around.
Yeah, we were expecting and hoping to see, and we get it here in this game number 3 here. So red side, both times, it just seemed like the R5 pick didn't really amount to too much here. So Akuma, they elect to take this blue side like we were talking about, of course. And yeah, we're going to see what this priority pick really becomes here. So phase 1, I think, was really the thing that highlighted the issues that Akuma had in both of these games here for the both of us. So the adaptations that we need to see, of course, on blue side, I don't expect any differentials from GEB, if anything at all, here for this whole phase 1, the bans. I think those are probably going to be the same. So why you need to change them. Maybe you decide to keep up that Oriana if you want to pick it yourself in that R1, R2 position. Maybe you have an option like that. But what GEB has been doing for Game 1 and Game 2 has worked out so well for themselves, and we'll have to see, I suppose, at this point. But they've done a fantastic job in this Game 1 and Game 2.
Certainly, and for Akuma Blades, in terms of their draft priorities, in the first couple of games, kind of all over the place, right? They didn't run back any of their game 1 draft in the second game, despite the bans remaining exactly the same, right? So it almost feels like they themselves are a little bit unsure of what exactly they want their approach to be tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I tend to agree with that as well. We might actually see the Jinx ban coming in here, which shows to me, obviously, Akuma has no priority on that champion whatsoever, and I think it's a good decision to make. GEB's style is really just front to back. That's generally what they play the best of, and that Jinx fits that profile perfectly for them. So that's gone. A couple different bans we get to see from GEB this time, which is nice, right? Instead of seeing the Xayah and the Oriana, this time we actually get the Lee Sin and the Rel. So leaves up a couple different picks for sure.
With both of those power picks available, clearly, you know, they're expecting to maybe trade a couple of them, but instead the Akuma Blades are looking to prioritize that Talia. So this is a pick that they themselves banned away in the previous 2 games from red side. So clearly this is something that they do have a very high priority on. We'll see what the Talia is going to be able to get done for the Blades in this game number 3. But this does also mean, Turk, that Xayah, Oriana, 2 extremely powerful picks in the meta right now, are likely going to go over to Glacial Black.
Yeah, and I'd be surprised if they don't, but maybe they will take the Lovers Duo instead. The Xayah Rakan is definitely good. Into Talia, the Rakan could be a little bit harder to pilot, but I don't think that's any real deterrent for being able to pick the Rakan champion. Just overall has like a 70 or an 80% presence rate right now at Worlds with like a 55% win. Excuse me, dying here. 55% win rate. So the champion as a whole is just inherently very strong, and just pretty good.
Been having a great night on it as well. So
that
makes a lot of sense. The couple of options getting hovered here by the Blades. The Oriana was briefly considered for a second there, the Kai'Sa as well, but the Senna is in fact going to be the lock-in. Perhaps a catch coming through on B3.
Yeah, I mean, it might. Yeah, I was gonna say it might be that fasting, but it is. That's exactly what it is. Holy, I'm dying here. That Senna top Kench, we've seen that quite a bit at Worlds here too, actually. That fasting Senna into that farming Kench. And it's going to be really hard for that Xayah and Rakan to be able to punish that.
Yeah, it definitely is. But also, you know, Xayah, Rakan are not necessarily the biggest fans of the laning phase, just in general. You know, they're kind of okay to just hang out down there, get their first couple items, and play for team fights. That is really where the Lovers Duo does excel. And in the end, Glacial Esports are going to be able to get their hands on the Oriana also.
Yeah, that's exactly. And GEB really rounds out their phase 1 quite well, all things considered, right? For this adaptation, what they decide to do from blue to red. They get the Lovers Duo and the Xayah and the Rakan, and then they get the Oriana. Matches really well. I do like Akuma, though. I think Akuma's done a really good job here in this game number 3 of at least adapting this time, right? They counter. They grab that B1, that Talia. That's still a flex pick, mind you, too. So that can go jungle, that can go mid. Have a couple different options with that. And that Senna Tom Kench has proven time and time again, especially in the world stage, the highest of high tiers when it comes to pros, that duo is very strong. So yeah, it's good. The onus is really going to be on GEB to see whether or not they can actually make plays happen against that Senna and Kench. Otherwise, inevitably, that's just going to outscale. There's no question about it.
Taking a look at our second ban phase here, Glacial Esports have been targeting some mid laners. So potentially expecting that Talia to actually go into the jungle position. We'll have to wait and see. The Ahri, notably, is still available if the side of Fluke wants to go back towards that pick. But top lane going to be the focus from Akuma Blades. They're going to ban away the Leoto and the... they're going to ban away Leoto with the Shen and Alawi hitting the bench here.
Yeah, the Alawi will come through. I mean, that R5 Alawi pick definitely could be there. And if Akuma, you have to blind pick your top, which more than likely you do here. Might go for something more safe. So, pretty good ban. I think it's a good idea. I mean, Leoto piloted it so well in Game 2. And GB, look at that. And they'll take a page out of Akuma's book here.
Show them how to play the Ornn, I guess.
That's right. Give me the Ornn, the man says.
But now, of course, a counter pick opportunity presents itself for Dobbin, hoping to get some revenge after getting absolutely clobbered in that previous game.
Yeah, inherently the matchup is just going to go like that too. And GB just have that small window for that pocket pick. And they pull the Alawi out and they do such a good job with it. And Akuma, it looks like they got a pocket pick themselves too.
Yakshan, yeah, a bold choice. That
Very
is
much.
like pick in and of itself. Could go into either one of those solo lanes, but with Camille
There
getting locked in as well, I think we now know where everybody is headed.
I think it's safe to say that we do. The Camille will do pretty well into that Ornn. Obviously, that inherent tank shred that you do have with your Q. It's going to really ramp up. The Action is going to be the real highlight for me here. We'll see how that pilots itself. I was wondering whether Akuma was going to pick an AD mid lane to kind of facilitate that Talia. You don't really want to have AP mid and an AP jungle with that Talia, so it's kind of nice to see that. The Action is definitely the one thing that I'm really wondering about, but we will see GEB. They're a big fan of this. Not a lot of other teams are in general, but that R5 jungle is something that they like to prioritize quite a bit. And in this case, we're going to get that Viego, going to round really this draft out for both teams. And I don't know, man. It's fun. It's a spicy game 3 at this point, right? It's grand finals. It's do or die for Akuma. This is a team comp that you've drafted for your game 3, and honestly, I quite like it. I think there's a lot of angles that they have. The Action, I love it. Will it work out?
Yeah.
I don't really know, but it's spicy, man.
I think that they are some really nice adaptations, right, for Akuma. You know, the bot lane has been a little bit difficult tonight, so we pick Sen and Kench. We try and neutralize that bot lane. We prevent Silva and Sly Lego from finding that big lead in the laning phase and being able to dominate that 2v2, in theory. And then we have the Action and the Camille, a couple of more aggressive solo laners. Also, you know, I'm sure the idea there is to try and find some early leads and put on some pressure, get that early priority, you know, excuse me. Oh man, words hard. Get those early neutrals, possibly going to be in the future for the Blades here as well. But on the other side, Glacial Esports, they also have a very cohesive composition.
Yeah, they absolutely do. When GEB groups up, they pull trigger with their ultimates available. There's no doubt that they can win. They can absolutely take away that team fight. But Akuma's style really is a more of that solo queue-esque type, right? You have that action, you can have those flanks, right, with the invisibility. There's a lot of windows where you can find kills. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that action go ignite either and just play to kill the Orianna. That champion has absurd amounts of damage just in the kit in general, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that one bit here. And Akuma, they have a lot of agency, much like they did in game 1, and they got up to that 4k gold lead at the 15-minute mark that we talked about time and time again. In game 2, it didn't really seem like they were set up or poised to be able to do that with the picks that they drafted, but here in this game 3, the adaptations that we've seen from blue side, I like it quite a bit. Inherently, that set of Tom Catch is going to be very safe. It's going to continue to scale up. The Action in isolation will beat the Orianna. The Camille in isolation will beat the Ornn, and the Talia has a lot of angles to make things happen off the CC that some of her team brings, so I like it. The Viego pick does do well into the Talia, but overall to me, Akuma, I think they've done exactly what they did in game 1. They drafted themselves a lot of early go buttons.
Yeah, definitely. We do like the adaptations that have been made by Akuma Blades here on the blue side, but the question, Turk, is, will it be enough? They're down 0-2. All the momentum now in favor of Glacial Esports Black, looking to secure the back-to-back title. You think their team fighting composition is going to be what gets it done, or will the switch to blue side and the subsequent adaptations be enough to get Akuma Blades into this series?
That is the question, isn't it? And looking at it, if GEB plays the way that they were playing in game 1 and game 2, there's no doubt in my mind that this comp that they've drafted here in game 3 will be able to close it out. Could be a clean sweep for them. And I don't really want to be the party pooper by any means, but I think at this point right now it's pretty it's justified, right? It's not like I'm not going out on a limb here. I'm not throwing on the old tinfoil hat when I say that GEB's drafted a comp that they could play really well. It's their stock standard style. They're up 2-0 in a series where arguably they probably should have lost just based off A, seeding, and B, previous matchup experience. So, like GEB 2-0, they have the agency in their comp when they hit 6. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that they could close it out here. As long as they play around their ultimates, as long as they play around their cooldowns, I think they can do it.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, we need to see more from Akuma Blitz than what we've seen from them so far tonight, right? If they are going to be able to get a game here against Glacial Esports Black, we need to see them step it up a little bit here in this game 3 with their backs against the wall. Now is the time for them to show us what they can do. But we'll see, guys. It's time to get onto the Rift for game 3. A short break first. On the other side, we have potentially the last game of the night. Don't miss it.
Don't go anywhere. See you soon.
All right, everybody, VTS fans, welcome back to Summoner's Rift for game number 3 in tonight's finals between the Akuma Blades and Glacial Esports Black. The Blades over onto the blue side this time around, so less color coordinated, but possibly better for their chances of winning the game, Turk.
That's right. And something you did note off broadcast, right? The Zyra Conskins not matching. Not matching,
that's right.
crewman.
That's right.
Could be
Potentially some cause for concern.
That's right. Could be the deciding factor here in this game 3. The reverse sweep, imagine.
It all started here.
All started here. And, I mean, pretty stock standard here. I mean, June, he ended up placing a little bit of an early ward there. But both teams recognize where those wards are coming down there. So nothing too crazy, really just a 5-point here. Hexmist looks like he is going to start towards bot. I expect both junglers here really just to do some sort of full clear. At that point, maybe they look for the respective ganks, but really I just expect that full clear into that scuttle, clear that, and this actually will be a level advantage here for the solos. Very minute. Mind you, 1 CS should actually end up making that difference, so they should hit that level 2, 1 CS sooner.
Yeah. And this
It
is
would.
going...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, oh man, we did it again.
FF. It shouldn't make too much of a difference at the end of the day, realistically here. Both of these solo carries from the side of Akuma. Good little trade here coming from Sly and Silva. The extended trade should go over to the side of Akuma though. Especially given enough time with the sustain that they do have.
Exactly. That is the power of the Senekench, right? Even if they take a losing trade, they just heal it up afterwards. They don't really mind. They're just going to be able to farm it out down here. Senna's going to pick up some souls. It's going to be pretty chill probably in this bot lane. At least that's what we're expecting as the knockup does come through. Slilago, the Abyssal Dive in response.
It almost connects. So close. So close. Yeah, and you're right. The inherent sustain that this Tom Kench and Senna have, it's so hard to force them off of lane, and the Rakan does have a little bit of sustain in his kit too. Nice trade here.
Double knockup with the Grand Entrance. Zaya Rakan, level 2. Potentially looking for the all-in. The Ignite committed there as well. Kench going down extremely low, but they're not going to overcommit for this one. Holding on to those flashes.
And Silva and Slilago just feeling themselves here in this game 3, and those Grand Entrances constantly, time and time again, they're landing, hitting both members, just knocking them both up, and at that point it's really difficult to trade. And this Tom Kench, look at the damage that's already done. It's difficult. Eventually you should be able to get that HP back, but if this poke from Silva and Slilago continues, the pressure is just going to be too much. They're going to have to take that reset, and they're going to be down quite a bit early already.
Yeah, certainly. Very much on the back foot down here. But Tom Kench is going to be able to farm up most of these creeps underneath the turret. So, you know, it's not been any deadly damage inflicted just yet. That blade collar was pretty close to getting the root, but not quite.
Yep. Fortunately, Cafe Chiocolata does have the TP. He will burn that pretty quickly here. Come on back, but it won't be much to buy. He's got 460 gold in the bag, so let's pick up a cloth armor. He'll grab that refillable pot, and he'll be back in lane here.
Junglers, we're clearing to opposite sides once again. We do see a little bit of an attempt in the mid lane, but also in the bot lane as the first blood actually will go over. Slilago finds the engage with the flash knockup. Back in the mid lane now, as Auction's going to have to flash away to try and stay alive. It's going to be Junhaha on the chase with this Viego. Not quite able to finish anybody off, but it's pressure in both mid and bot lane. Glacial Esports continuing where they left off.
Yeah, both junglers mirror each other's clears. Full clear into Scuttle, respectively, and then head towards that mid lane, look to make that impact. And nobody dies mid, but we definitely get that kill bot side, and that's off the back of Slilago. Just a good flash Grand Entrance. They land that knockup. The extra damage comes through, and they pick up the center there for an easy first blood. And Silva and Slilago off to a really good start here. Basically just solo accelerating the state of this game right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just really putting on the pressure down there in the raw 2v2. It's very impressive from them. Definitely what you want to see as well with the lovers duo locked in. You want to see that synergy between the AD and support. They're showcasing that so far.
Yeah, if we won't get Skinnergy, we'll get synergy. We'll take it. We'll take what we can get around here.
Close enough, for sure.
For sure. And Akuma, unfortunately at this point right now, they do have this bouncing wave. Good news for them is that they are going to be able to build this up, so they should be able to get it to crash in here. Junhaha won't be around either, but Silva, look at the CS here. It's 26, sitting on the same as Kench. Once this wave crashes, he's going to be that much farther ahead. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what team you're on here, Silva didn't end up getting that kill. At the end of the day, we'll go to Slilago, but the pace of this game right now from this early game is going pretty handily on the side of GEB.
Yeah. Couple auto attacks there into the Catfish. He's going to be okay for now. Check out the rotation from the mid jungle of Akuma Blades. They want to try and set up a dive here, and this is a pretty sizable wave that is going to crash into this tier 1 turret. See if Silva and Slilago are going to be able to outplay this. It's looking a bit, but no, actually, it's going to be Akuma Blades backing away. They're not going to go for the play after all.
That's right. It looks like we're going to see June. He's just going to end up clearing towards his top side, basically cross-mapping for himself.
Oh,
Good
another
damage
knock
here.
up.
Yeah,
Kench
not
is
much will
okay.
amount too much from it, though. Yeah, and just again, that healing, that sustain that's really coming in there. That early kill was nice for that Xayah. Rakan able to net that, but I feel like at this point it's going to be that much harder to find these kills now. Just with the amount of sustain that comes in, and especially as this time goes on in this game, it's going to be that much harder to get these kills on this duo of that Senna
Wow.
Kench, so good heads up play though, overall. And GEB, yeah, still consistently in this early game, doing a great job, much like they did in game 2. Having
Now,
that
are going to
tempo.
lose out on the first dragon, but a quick check-in onto the top lane here. Remember, Leoto, it was his turn this time around to blind pick the Ornn. And is doing actually very nice up there in the top lane against the Camille, even getting the push in that lane. We saw just a moment ago, able to secure a turret blade for himself in the 1v1. Despite the counter matchup, Talia flashing away. The flash follow-up with the Spectral Maw. That's going to be the kill. Junaha picks it up. Viego gets his first of the game.
That's nice to see. The shockwave ends up whiffing there, but at the end of the day, the damage is going to come through, and they net the kill there on Hexmas on that Talia, set him down that much farther behind at this point right now. June should be able to swing in, grab this red here.
Gets the
Little
knock
bit of
up.
damage.
Yeah, good damage, but I don't really know if there was too much that Leoto is going to be able to find there. As Camille was pretty healthy.
The collapse is going to come down on June, though. I don't know. I think he's safe. He's already got that red. Looks like he's pathing out. Has the ultimate to get away, too. I think he's safe.
Ooh, the knockup buffered with the Heartbreaker, but no flash for the Viego. Remember, used it for the aggressive play in the mid lane. Now Rakan, very low HP, able to battle dance back towards the Xayah and will be able to escape underneath the tier 1 with a shove. The seismic shove gets Silva back into the waiting arms of the pursuers of Akuma Blades, and they managed to get that kill onto the marksman. A nice counter punch from Akuma.
And they answer, and they do a great job, and I really thought June was safe there, and overall, I really truly believe that he was, but he did a great job buffering the knockup from the Tom Kench, but the damage was still there. It came through. They ended up getting the kill on the Viego and getting the kill on Silva. I don't think he expected to go down there, but the shove turned out to be enough damage with the Senna follow-up, and that's another kill. Silva burns his flash there, and that's right before that 6 mark where that Xayah and that Rakan both become that much stronger and harder to kill.
That really does make that death hurt a little bit more. The fact that the Xayah did utilize the flash, it still goes down. Orianna getting flashed on now by the Tom Kench. The shockwave comes out, but it's just not going to matter as she has already been devoured. Fluke able to pick up the last hit, and now we're all tied up, Turk. 3-3.
Heads up roam there from the Tom Kench. Cafe Chio Colada just recognizing that window there. Follows up, able to land that eat, and as soon as he gets that, basically just waiting to get that kill, pull it off, and before you know it, we've got 2 kills on this action. The man's starting to really ramp up, and things are looking good here for the side of Akuma. And yeah, they've done a good job here too. They have that first dragon. The next dragon's up here in 2 minutes. If they're able to play for that, they might actually have a bit of a dragon win con around that 20-minute mark. Good heads up play here from Dobbin.
As the mid laner has roamed over. Auction is here to try and help punish this, or they will be successful in that attempt. Leoto goes down for the first time this game, and I believe that was number 2 for Fluke.
Yep, tried and true. Pick the comforts. Fluke's able to get ahead there. Been a part of all 4 kills. 100% participation rate right now. He just done a really good job here piloting this action.
Yeah, lots of movement to both of these side lanes for Fluke early on here. Exactly what we needed to see from that mid laner, as Orianna's going to get shoved backwards. No flash, no way out. Kaita Azur a little bit overextended. And now Akuma Blades have taken, or are about to take the lead. At least have taken the lead in terms of the kill count.
They most certainly have. There's no doubt about that. And constantly, just time and time again, we're seeing how much Fluke is able to impact this early game. Now part of all 5 kills. Doing a great job. Hexmas could be in a bit of trouble.
Heartbreaker does get connected onto the Talia, and the shutdown will go over. Junaha able to pick that one up. Rakan with the dash back towards Xayah, who does have the Feather Storm. In just a moment, the Blade Caller will connect. Good damage onto the Tom Kench. Quickness now committed, but the Dawning Shadow is good damage onto the Rakan, who immediately has to flash away to stay alive. And the Senna was not under any threat that entire time.
Not one bit. It's going to be pretty low on the mana, so the sustain won't be quite there for the Tom Kench, but at the end of the day, as long as you get this wave pushed in, you're laughing, you burn that flash from Sly Lego. Things are looking really good here for Akuma. They've done a really good job of being able to pace this game. The gold lead is insurmountable, makes absolutely no difference at this point right now. They're poised to begin setting up for the second dragon here too. The pings are coming through already. GEB has done a good job of getting vision set up on that, but the question is, are they able to contest this? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, their comp is not really too strong just yet. I mean, they do have that Kraken Slayer completion for both Viego and Zaya, but really the comp isn't going to... Oh, Viego getting knocked up by the Abyssal Dive here. The teleport will come out in response, though, as that is going to be Lyoto joining up with the rest of the team. His newly unleashed teleport being utilized there. We do see Talia on the bot side of the map as the dragon does spawn, but river control absolutely held by Glacial Esports at the current moment in time. And it seems like Hexmist is going to be pretty content to give this one up. Just wants to try and play for that Herald on the top side instead.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And they're just going to equalize the rest of the map state here by cross-mapping. Looks like they're going to try to pick up this Rift Herald. Have to be a little careful, though. Hopefully Hexmist is able to net this up before the rest of GEB ends up getting there. Looks like they are slowed down a little bit, though. Won't take the most optimal pathing, so I believe that Rift Herald should go down, but June wants to play for it.
Viego does not have the Smite, so it's going to be pretty impossible to steal that one away. Smite is good from the Talia. The Forge God knockup does come through. The Akshan flashes away, will not be able to survive, and now the resets come through for Viego as he hook shots forward with the heroic swing. The Heartbreaker comes out once again, but Camille flashes over the wall and stays alive, and now Junaha has been shut down. Ornn is running out of HP, and Hakurum puts one more shot in the back. And that is going to be the 2-for-1 teamfight plus the objective, going the way of Akuma Blades.
Yep. And they decide not to play for that dragon. We had Lyoto burn that early TP to look to play for that. Obviously, with that numbers advantage, they do a great job with that. But Akuma, equally, they answer with that cross map, play for that Rift Herald, end up winning that fight. Cafe Chio Colada on this Tom Kench, he can 1v2. He's pretty fine, I think.
Knock-up comes through. Blade Caller already utilized, I think. Featherstorm coming out just for looking for a little bit of extra damage, but Silva just doesn't quite have it. Akshan is going to get hit by that next Blade Caller as it comes back off cooldown. We're kind of going to be forced to turn here with the quickness. Good damage onto the Tom Kench, but not quite enough just yet. Flashing forward now is Silva looking for a little bit more. Barely will be able to find that kill, but forced to trade himself in addition to the flash. And now Fluke is just getting so fed on this Akshan on the other side of the map, though. Viego looking for the damage onto Talia. Can't continue to pursue through the rock field, and it's just going to be Akuma Blades with another strong play in this bot lane.
Luke, the man on a mission. 9 KP in a 9 kill game for his team. Like, continuously just a part of every single play on the map, and he's done a great job with that. That's a beautiful TP there. Following up, getting a couple extra kills there, and he's off to the races now. 4-1-5, sitting 150 gold bounty. He just spent some extra 1,200 gold there. He's working very closely on his second item here, already has a first component, and this Akshan's absolutely starting to become a terror.
Rage Blade second on auction. Is that a common build? I don't actually know.
Akshan isn't really a common champion, but
fair
you definitely
enough.
want to.
Oh,
as
dear.
much AD
And
as you
Ornn
can.
is about to be significantly more rare as well after this one gets potentially taken down as the hook shot will connect. But the chase will be given up by Dobbin. Shockwave going to go wide down here in the bot side river skirmish. That is going to be disengaged by both sides.
Yeah, and Fluke his sneak level's 99 right now. He's just hidden it. Look at this, Silva. Unknown.
Fine, Silva wanted to walk up to that minion wave. The action damage is so nasty already in this one. Junaha trying to get away. Will be able to do so.
And GB's done a fairly good job here of being able to disengage. Lyoto doesn't end up dying there up top side, exchanging that Camille ult, but Dobbin, there's no doubt that the split push is going in the favor of Akuma. The 4v4 is going in the favor of Akuma. Things are looking pretty good for them right now. They're poised to be able to take this game 3 for sure, as long as they can continue to cross their T's and dot their I's, and uh-oh.
Forge God once again getting called on. Knock up good onto Camille. Lots of damage with those brittle autos as well. Cho'Gath ultimate available for Dobbin. Cannot quite get in range to hit Ornn with that one, so we'll just back away for now. And Lyoto, yeah, was having honestly, a great time in that early laning phase, but as soon as Fluke was able to make their way up there with Yakshan, turned that lane around, and now we do see the counterpick Camille with control. As in the bot lane, Junaha looking for the cheeky Spectral Maw there, not going to find it, takes a whole bunch of damage, but now the CC comes through onto the Tom Kench, and they will be able to get that first kill. The stolen Abyssal Dive comes out, with the Heartbreaker back away from underneath the turret. Good from Ju to not give that kill back over. Now the tier 1 will fall, so now it's Glacial with a nice counterpunch of their own.
That's right. They capitalized on an overextension there from Cafe Chiocolata on the Tom, and they net that kill and the turret for themselves. And Leoto.
Leoto could potentially bonk his head and destroy that wall, but it's just not going to be enough to get him out to safety. A nice roam from Hexmas this time around. The Talia cutting off that escape path.
Yeah, the Talia is really starting to ramp up here too. It's into that 4-2-1 score line. We've talked a lot about Fluke in this early to mid game, but there's no doubt that this Talia has been paying off well here too. And that was a B1 Talia, so that's the adaptation that we're already seeing here. And it really does seem like night and day here for red side to blue side for Akuma.
Yeah, I would say so. And it is a great pairing with the auction as well, right? Because both those champions can move across the map very quickly. And to try and find these overloaded plays that they have been able to find so far in this early game. So game plan clearly working out reasonably well for the Akuma Blades here in Game 3. Auction potentially in trouble, but able to swing his way out. Oh, he's not going to be able to get away from that one. The shutdown does go over to Junaha. Now 5v4 on the rip, but Ornan potentially going to get taken down as well. There is one kill back over. The Grand Entrance denied by the Tom Kench Devourer, but the Tom Kench will get taken down next, and now Senna will be the next to fall. Akuma Blades, they had such a good string of plays here in this early game. It looked like they were maybe going to be able to take some control in this game number 3, but now the team fight goes decisively in favor of Glacial Esports.
It does, and it looks like decisively for GEB, no doubt, but indecisively here for the side of Akuma. I mean, top side, we see Dobbin, he's split pushing for that tier 2, and he nets that, but he still has that TP. He doesn't want to burn it. So it looks like a bit of a split call there. Right, if we have that TP coming in for the Camille, then we know that they want to fight, but it looks like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and Akuma, they get punished. Maybe Hexmas here does too.
Oh, yeah, Hexmas potentially in trouble. The quickness comes out for a little bit of additional CC. The Ignite as well. So Sly Lego committing everything there, really thinking that the team was going to be able to pile in to help finish off that kill, but that was not the case, and now Zaya Rakan is going to get punished a little bit as all 5 members are here for the Akuma Blades. They take down Sly Lego after that ill-fated engage attempt, and now it's the Blades with control over Summoner's Rift.
Yep. And time again, Akuma, that just seems like they get that much more ahead in each one of these trades that they take. And this set of Tom Kench is ramping up, the Talia's ramping up, the Action's ramping up, the Camille and that side lane becoming impossible to match for Leoto. And at this point right now, you don't have too many options if you're GEB. You really do need to group up, force fights with the Ornar when you have that up. Look to pull trigger with the rest of your ultimates to follow up and make some plays off of that as well. And if you're not able to net a couple kills, at least it seems like Akuma's just going to win that out-sustain game.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Sly Lego was just not ready for the entire enemy team to be there, right? Thought he was finding a pick onto an isolated target, but that's the thing about this Akuma draft, right? As we've already mentioned, their champions are very good at moving quickly across the map, so they were able to join up and defend their jungler from going down there, able to punish Sly Lego for that aggressive move. And now we do see Junaha onto the second Rift Herald. Surely is the target. We do have Akuma Blades in the area. Will they be able to contest?
That is the question, and a lot of the neutrals are more than willing to give up if they continue to win this side lane, and they 100% are. Dobbin just nets himself another tier 1 bot side. June could be in a little bit of trouble, but...
Yeah, we're fine. Just had to commit the Heartbreaker to get out of there.
Yeah, not too much of a problem. But again, another neutral going towards the side of GB, and exactly what you want. Especially with a game state like this right now, you know that you're not winning the side, so maybe a little bit of a mishap on the side of Akuma. Good damage here onto Sly Lego. A lot of really good damage.
Still Rakan.
I think he's dead.
But it is a little bit dangerous. The comeuppance is going to be what finishes off that kill. Fluke finds number 6. Auction performance just been absolutely stellar this game and continues to be. We do still have some time, though, until this next dragon.
That's it. Hexmas could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Oh, Spectral Maw is going to connect. Call the Forge God does as well. Flashing over the walls, Leoto finds a double knockup with the Tom Kench ultimate. Very good to keep that Talia from going down, and now the fight seems to have turned. Leoto is going to get taken down after committing the flash aggressively, and Akuma Blades find the counterpunch.
When the numbers are there, Akuma's going to constantly trade up here. They have that option to be able to play around Dobbin, still having that TP. I think he's had that TP up now for 8, 9, maybe even 10 minutes at this point. He doesn't need to use it if he's going to continue doing the split, if his team's going to look to play around him, if they don't want to contest these neutrals, which frankly they don't need to at this point. They're fine to continue to play for the split con, win con. Like, they're more than happy to do that. So,
do you feel like even giving up the Ocean Soul point would be acceptable?
The Ocean Soul point, I'd say at that point, probably not. No. I think if you're Dobbin, you do exactly what you're doing right now and split push bot. If you want to hold on to that TP, you can do it from there. So stay bot side if you want to keep that TP. If not, head up top and look to just burn it early to get there and really keep that tempo ahead of time. But we're gonna see that TP. I thought there's a TP coming in mid. I guess.
Yep, that was going to be a Cafe Chocolata teleporting into the mid lane to continue farming up some minions.
That's right. Yeah, I thought I saw that. I wasn't going too crazy there. But
you are absolutely right. But you just said, Turk, that you don't believe giving up this Ocean Soul point would be a very good idea for Akuma Blades, but they're playing against a composition that is very proficient in team fighting, so how would you recommend they go about setting up for this next dragon?
It really is just around Dobbin. If he's able to absorb pressure, you can see right now it's already beginning to happen. June, he's rotating himself down towards that bot lane. Of course, at this point right now, he's going to play for that scuttle, but each and every time that Dobbin pressures the side lane, June or somebody needs to react and deal with that. So he's going to draw pressure. When they draw pressure, they can establish, get vision set up in this bot side river, and then they can look to play for this dragon and take it. When they group up, they are stronger, even with the team fight that GEB has drafted. In this state of the game right now, they can win.
Certainly. We do actually see Fluke and Azure, both of the mid laners, are off in the top lane at the moment, both with teleport. We'll see when those triggers are going to be pulled, if they will be, as that is going to be Camille finding the Hextech ultimatum onto Sly Lego after the Rakan flashes away. It's going to be the Viego actually taken down first. The shutdown goes over to Hexmist, and without the jungler, Glacial Esports don't have much say in trying to prevent this dragon from going over.
Yeah, and the soul 100% will go down at this point. If you're GEB, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, you want that to be a win con, but Akuma did a really good job of recognizing that. Just capitalizing on a bit of an overextension there from Sly.
Lego, once again, going forward, finds the quickness on it too. They do manage to burst down the catfish. They've gone fishing, they found their catch, but that's a lot of damage back onto the Rakan. Sly Lego with a blinking health bar right now, cannot continue the fight, and Zaya stepped pretty far forward, flashing away, will be able to stay alive. Ornn charging back towards the turret, lots of low health bars for Glacial Esports. They cannot get everybody out as Leoto gets shoved seismically back into Akuma Blades. They take him down, and they ensure that that team fight goes 2 for 1 actually in their favor if you include the pick onto Viego, who has respawned now, but the Baron getting burned down by Akuma Blades. Junaha with Flash and Smite could potentially get into this pit. Sly Lego able to get down a little bit of vision as well. That's going to be Auction dashing forward. They're going to burst down Oriana. Cannot quite get out that last little bit of damage. Baron has reset.
No way. Okay. Wait, does he?
Weapons. Needs to get blocked. I believe the turret soaked those bullets for Kite Azure, but Baron getting burned down once again, down to 50%. Junaha still with the flash, still with the smite, still with the ward in the back of the Baron pit. It's going to be the Glacial Esports jungler. It's all up to him to try and look for this steal, but the Baron is going down pretty low, and it's Camille over the wall with the Hextech ultimatum. Completely denies the possibility. Oh, but the Heartbreaker into the pit. He still gets in there, but he's just a second too late. Gonna be Junaha not quite able to get the smite, and now the Weaver's Wall comes out for the chase down. Ornn getting shoved once again, is gonna get taken down. It's the 4 for 1 team fight. Akuma Blades plus the Baron.
The pace of this game has just been blown wide open at this point now. Netting that Baron, and it's so close. You swear June's gonna be able to steal that. I've seen it before. I've seen it. I know it. It can happen, but in this case it doesn't. Hexmas ends up netting that instead. They pull out this Baron, and right now this game is accelerated more than what we saw in Game 1 here, setting up basically a 6k gold lead here at 24 minutes. Things are really starting to round out, especially with the fact that their team comp continues to scale as this game moves forward. Their team comp is very strong moving into the mid to late stage, especially with the windows that they have with this Talia. Anytime that any sort of CC or slow lands, if a seismic shove lands too, that same target's dead. Not too many people can actually absorb that at this point right now in this GEB composition, and this TP could be cancelled here, but it will actually come through here from Cafe Chocolata, and really it does come down right now, this map setup, right? What does Akuma want to do? Do they want to pressure mid and bot? Do like some sort of 4-1 here? I don't know. I don't have the answer, but I do know that they need to get out on this map, start pressuring things while they can, while they're ahead, and look to really pressure a team like GEB, because I've seen teams like GEB win these time and time again.
Absolutely. Yeah, Akuma Blades, they do need to keep their foot down on the gas pedal. The good news is they're not really in any danger of getting outscaled, as you already highlighted for us, Turk. So in that sense, they're not so much on a clock, but Viego is going to find the Spectral Maw. The Shockwave comes out as well, but only onto the Tom Kench. The Call of the Forge guy is going to come out as well. A little bit of CC onto the Camille. They do finally get that first kill of the fight for the side of Glacial Esports. And now we do see Dobbin is very deep behind enemy lines. Duff is mid laner kind of in the area, but the Camille's not going to be able to get away. Now Talia is kind of in the thick of things. Has to flash away from those feathers as the Zai ultimate does come out. And now we do see Glacial Esports making a bit of a stand in their own jungle, but Viego pushing forward is going to get cut down. Cannot quite continue to find those resets, and now on Lyoto trying to follow up on the jungler will also fall. What looks like a great fight for Glacial Esports suddenly turns the other way.
Yep. And you can see when Hexmas is able to join that fight, the amount of damage that he has with those items is just completely absurd. And Seismic Shove lands, the E from Talia, all those rocks, the amount of damage that comes through is just completely absurd. Look at this.
Oh man, it's another pick right as the turret goes down. The mid laner gets picked off, and this might just be game now, Turk. They just completed the ace for the side of Akuma Blades, and they're barreling down mid lane as well as bot.
There's no doubt it's a double inhib. There's no doubt it should be a double inhibitor here at this point. June is up. We do have Silva too. Maybe they just elect to take this turret. They can look to play back, but the inhibitor is exposed there on bot side. No matter what at this point right now, if you're Akuma, you're loving life.
Oh yeah, they are now in a great position in this game. Tom Kench is going to get CC'd over here on the front lines. Has the flash to try and create enough space to get towards safety with the center route as well. Should be able to get the team out. It is a little bit hairy here. The chase is continuing to come through from Glacial Esports. They will find the knockup, but again, it's only on to the Tom Kench, and Hexmist has just gone legendary on the Stoneweaver. Talia now is going to be able to help the team continue the chase. It's a 5v3 on the Rift with the Nexus turrets in their eyes.
The TP is available on Fluke too. He can reset. That wave has crashed topside. They're going to need to deal with that at some point here. And Dobbins, he's going
in goes Camille underneath the Nexus towers, looking to lock down those carries. It will be the Rakan going down first. Back in with the hook shot we go once again. And Zaya without the Feather Storm has no way of surviving. And now it's Kaitazur on the run. But there's nowhere safe on Summoner's Rift for you. Orianna will get taken down as a triple kill comes through from Dobbin, who had a phenomenal performance here in Game 3. Big bounce back after Game number 2.
Yep.
And it will be Akuma Blades getting their first win of the night.
Yeah, they sure will. That's absolutely perfect. That's exactly what Akuma needed to do. And right out of the get-go, you can see from Game 3 the night and day difference from the rest of the drafts that they've been able to pull out. And there's no doubt that Talia made absolutely the world of difference there. Fluke did a great job too, though. You really got to hand it to him. Early on, I think for the first 10 kills, he was part of every single one of them. So the man was just on a mission. He was doing exactly what he needed to do. They really did just manage to shut out GEB. Basically from any point in that game where their team comp could come online, they could look to group up, pull trigger with those ultimates, and actually find something to make plays with. But the Santa Tom Kench did a really good job of absorbing pressure. The Camille constantly, even on blue side without that last pick, actually ended up working out much better than any other red side R5 pick that Akuma's been able to pull out there. So that matchup worked out really well. They won split. They won the 4v4. Akuma just did a really good job of setting up their draft for that game number 3. And more importantly, they did a fantastic job of executing around the mid-prio that Action brought to the team.
Yeah. Definitely. We liked the draft a lot better, as we highlighted, right at the beginning of the game. But also the play from the entire top side of Akuma Blades here was just, all those guys clearly really stepped it up. They weren't done yet tonight. They weren't ready to call it a day. And they had some really, really impressive performances here in this game number 3 to bring us to game number 4. I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of those 3. Obviously the Senna Kench play was really solid as well, but their job for the most part in this game was just to stabilize the bot lane, right? Exist in the team fights. The Kench soaked up a lot of aggro. There were a lot of tools that were used by Glacial Esports that just kind of got sunk into trying to kill the catfish. And it was great, from them to be able to survive as much as they did and, soak as much pressure as they did. But in terms of POG, Turk, I do feel like it probably has to go to somebody on the top side here for Akuma. What are you thinking? Is it the B1 Talia? Is it Dobbins with the redemption game?
Well, for me, I probably get to say X-Mist. I mean, it fits the lore of this series pretty well too, right? Both junglers want to absolutely just carry and want to pop off. And I mean, that first pick Talia coming out completely clutch. Hexmist Little slow to get going early game, but once he didn't slow down. At one point he's 4-2, the next point he's 13-3 with basically a 500 gold bounty. The man just absolutely popped off. Those 3 items on Talia came online in a notoriously bad matchup too, individually. When it comes to that Viego and Talia, the Viego definitely has that advantage. There's a lot of plays that the Viego can make onto that Talia. The Talia also doesn't have a lot of setup. Generally, when you draft that champion, you want something like Leona, you want something like Nautilus, you want something like Galio, something that has really consistent CC for you. So really, it just seems like to me, Hexmas basically just kind of threw a lot of the team on his back. Sure, he needed a little bit of time to be able to get there. Really came off the back of Fluke, and arguably you could give the POG to him too, because he influenced the entirety of the early game. But once Hexmas came online with that champion, he took the game over, and he basically showed why Talia should be a prio pick in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. That game explains to us the reason why it was banned from Red Side by Akuma Blades in the previous 2 games, right? We just saw the reason, because clearly they do put a lot of value on that pick. And I think you're absolutely right. There's a really great point that you made a second ago, Turk, about the fact that Hexmas deserves some extra credit for being able to land all of those seismic shoves without the assistance of other CC from other members of the team, right? Just had to predict on a lot of those knockups and found a lot of important picks that way that really allowed Akuma to snowball the game very, very effectively. So
Yeah.
big props there. And to the entire squad for rallying and giving us a match tonight. You know, it was looking a little worrying for a second there, Turk, that maybe we were just going to have the 3-0 sweep, nothing to see here for the grand finals. That is not what we wanted to see. We want to see, obviously, both teams putting in a good showing here for the last match of the season, and it looks like we are getting that.
That's right.
We're going to go into another quick break here, guys, while Turk finds himself in darkness here for a brief
I'm
moment.
back.
But we will definitely be getting all of that sorted out as we get into Game 4. Don't go anywhere.
All right, see you.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the VTS finals here for fall of 2023. Akuma Blades able to find their footing in tonight's best of 5 after taking game number 3 in relatively decisive fashion, but they do now find themselves back on red side for game number 4. Turk, what are we expecting from this game 4 draft?
I mean, red side proves it. There's no doubt it's 0% win rate.
It's true. It is.
I mean, the prophecy writes itself. But no. In all honesty, I don't know entirely what to expect here. I mean, Akuma, I'm sure they've cooked up a couple different things. I assume that they're probably going to stick with the Swain and the MF bands. That hasn't changed at all on either side, no matter what. However, the picks and the responses, hopefully we get to see a Jinx band here from the side of Akuma. I think that should probably be the main and most important thing here. As long as Silva doesn't get that champion, that front-to-back playstyle that GEP is so good at won't be an option for them, or will at least be more of a hindrance if they have to go something more like like the Xayah, or maybe some other sort of less quote-unquote like meta AD carry. So hopefully I get to see that adaptation from Akuma. Already you see GEB banning that Orianna and that Taliyah. So a little bit of adaptations there really quick. That Taliyah is not going to get through here for this game 4. There we go. I love to see it. Thank you.
There it is. The Jinx ban.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good.
But it is a little bit interesting, right? I don't think it's fair to say necessarily that the performance of Silva on the Xayah was necessarily bad. It's hard to say, for me at least, really, where that game really all went wrong for Glacial Esports. It didn't really seem like any of the lanes were getting completely blown out. You know, obviously, Camille ended up with a bit of an advantage up there in the top side, but Ornn can still be useful in the fights, right, in theory. But the game kind of just felt like it slipped away from them. They, like, were continuously kind of looking for these fights that just weren't really going in their favor. It was like a steady buildup for Akuma Blades as they just continued to find these small advantages, and it eventually just got to a point where it was a little bit too much, and they ran it right down into the Nexus in that pretty quick ending to that previous game. And the Xayah is going to get locked away here on B1 once again, Turk.
Yeah, and the Xayah really is a safe bet, especially in this meta right now where it is engage favored. So that Xayah tends to do obviously really well, as just inherently with a disengage. The Senna, I'll be very interested to see if they actually do decide to lock that Senna in without the Tahm Kench. Obviously, right. GEB does decide to ban that, and we actually are going to get that. So the pairing with that Senna, maybe they'll do something like a Rel. I have seen that before. I don't know exactly whether or not that's going to be fasting or what the plan with that is, but the Senna pick to me seems very maybe out of pocket might be the right word without that Kench. Sion! Senna Sion, of course. That Sion is a flex, but that could very well just be a farming Sion.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the Senna Kench is kind of the most iconic of those Senna pairings, and obviously has been what has been picked in Worlds as well, but we do also know that there are a number of things that can work with the Senna down there in the bot lane. We'll have to see where that sign is going a little bit later on. Rakan was available here for Sly Lego, but has decided to opt for something different here in game number 4. We're going to be picking up the Thresh instead, a little bit of a more defensive option, I want to say.
And I like that. The Rakan has a really hard time into the Senna, just in general. Really, by the time that Rakan's online, you're probably already down quite a bit within the game state itself. So I think that's a good adaptation. In game 3, GEB, it felt like they didn't really draft any priority lanes at all. They had scaling mid with that Orianna. They had that Ornn as well, which is tough to play through, and then you have a losing bot side too. So this time, right away from GEB, I like this a lot. The Xayah and the Thresh, that's a much stronger bot lane. Of course, you have that Cinder too, which is a really safe blind pick. Akuma on R3, they do have the option to answer that mid pick here, and it looks like they are going to grab that Xerath. So that Xerath has been banned throughout the entirety of the series, if I'm not mistaken. That's every game. Yep. Ooh, just going through every game. And now it is left up. That will be picked up here for Akuma on R3.
And was banned by Glacial Esports in every single one of those games as well. But obviously they did drop it for the Kench ban this time around. So the Xerath has been let through. Will be the answer into the Syndra. So the range will be matched. Of the Syndra's range, rather. So Xerath should be able to farm it out pretty comfortably in that mid lane. And now the question kind of becomes, what are our carry junglers going to look towards here in this game number 4?
That is a question. Whether Akuma decides to save that for R5 or not, I'm not so sure. The R4 Ornn for Akuma in game number 2, I believe, didn't really work out here. I do want to highlight very quickly that GEB, the Shen for Leota, is still available if that's what they want. Having a Shen and a Xayah is really difficult to kill, so I don't know if that is going to be picked up. I just wanted to point that out very quickly. But this R4 will come through, as long as they lock this in, as that Viego. So not only a priority pick within the series, but also a denial pick too.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the Viego obviously not able to find the win
There you
in
go.
that previous game. Of course, going to be picked up on the other side this
Yep.
time around. It's going to be Akuma Blades jungler piloting that one. And there is the Leoto Shen. You remember those stats, guys? Do I need to say the stats again? Because it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it is. And that actually could be a little bit of an oversight from Akuma. They don't have much damage at all besides Viego. So trying to get through that Shen ult, trying to get through that Xayah, especially with that ultimate available in the lantern itself, that could be really tricky for Akuma to be able to actually find any kills on Silva as a Xayah. And I think GEB's done a really good job here in this game 4 of picking up the type of draft that exactly they want. They have that carry jungle style that they really love to be able to play. They have that front to back style. That of course they have Leoto on that Shen, which really is that weak side that you could play and support the rest of your team. So GEB, I think they've done a really good job of setting up their draft here for this game 4. In game 3, you can make the argument that Akuma on that blue side did a fantastic job themselves here, but for game 4, I really love this draft from GEB. Akuma has a pretty okay draft themselves. I like the Poppy. I think it's pretty good here. Into the Shen, into the Wukong, into the Thresh. I guess a little bit the Thresh being able to take the hook, but to me it really does seem like GB's drafted a really cohesive comp, and Akuma, they might have a little bit of a harder time. I might have liked to see that pivot away from that Senna there once that TK was banned, but what do I know? I'm just a caster, man. That's all I am.
Well, you have been known to play on occasion as well, I
Yeah,
know.
I do play
Turk. So,
sometimes as a boss.
maybe
In
there
this
is something there.
instance, yeah. With all the draft that these teams have done, I'm sure that they, of course, have done their research. So there's only so much I can infer from my position now. If I'm the player, obviously I should have a lot more in-depth thoughts, especially having played. Right, Kuma and GB have already once played against each other this time, so of course this is going to be that rematch, and this is when it really counts the most here. This is game 4. This is do or die for Akuma, and whether or not they're able to pull it together, I don't know. I think overall they've drafted a lot of their comfort picks that they wanted. The Scion is the one that really sticks out to me as to whether or not it's going to get punished, whether or not it's going to be able to scale up and become that tanky front line that Akuma needs. But there's no doubt that that's Xerath, that's Senna, those two picks have piloted themselves really well. That Viego is also a comfort pick too, but GEB, it looks like they have comfort all around. It's tough, crewman. It's tough.
Yeah, the Shen, you already mentioned the pairing with the Xayah can be very,
Yep.
very powerful in a defensive sense. But also you can look for the offensive Shen ultimates onto the Wukong. You can kind of submarine with the Warrior Trickster, and you can get the Shen into that back line very, very easily. So some possibilities there as well. But also on the other side, the Poppy pick, as you already mentioned, you get potentially some 2-for-1 value there. If you can Keeper's Verdict the person who Shen is teleporting on top of, right? You can just sort of eject that entire play from coming through. So can be a little bit difficult to execute on that in the heat of the moment, but there's definitely some possibilities I think on either side there. I do think that Akuma Blades, their composition, while it is relatively solid, and I do think that they have some comfort here, as you already mentioned, Turk. It is also potentially there's some potential rather for a little bit of disconnect in terms of what the comp
Yes.
is trying to do, because you have the Senna and the
Yeah.
Xerath, right, the main carries with all of that range that want to be playing the fight slowly, chipping people away from a safe distance. And then you have like the Viego and the Poppy, who are really more like trying to charge forward and initiate these fights in a very aggressive manner. So I think Akuma Blades are going to have to play things out very carefully in terms of peeling for their carries and making sure that the Senna and the Xerath actually can get out the DPS that will be necessary.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And at the end of the day, no matter what, comfort is going to be king. So, right, I think Akuma, they do have some comfort picks here. Whether or not it plays out, I'm not so sure either, because I definitely agree with you. The cohesion in the Akuma comp to me just doesn't really seem like it's there. While GEB, it looks like they've done a really good job of being able to do what their team style really likes to do, which is just be able to play through mid, be able to play through bot, have Leona be able to support either of those lanes, and then make those impacts. Again, so many times we saw where Akuma has that advantage. They have their jungler in the bot side. They'll send that gank. They'll look to make a 3v2 play, and before you know it, it's quite literally a 4 or a 5v3. And GEB
Yeah.
just responds so quickly, and then they do it so decisively. And at that point, once they do that, a weak side gank turns into a strong side gank before you know it. And I think GEB's drafted that exact style for them here for this game 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty strong draft, we think, for Glacial Esports. It's
Yeah.
Leota once again on his trusty Shen. And it's blue side. You know, it's going to be Glacial Esports Black looking to secure blue side its 4th consecutive win in tonight's best of 5. But the momentum on the other foot now. Akuma Blade's able to take number 3, but they will need to secure a win here in game number 4 as well. If they want to bring us to Silver Scrapes. We'll see if they can do it, guys, right after this very short break.
Wake to my voice and hear the call within. Embrace the fear inside. Surrender your mind to mine again. Close your eyes, have faith in me, and leave the light behind. You're never alone. Whenever it's gone, let the shadows stay home. You're never alone. Let the poison in. Feel the warmth arise. Close your eyes, have faith in me, and leave the light behind. You're never alone. Whenever it's gone, let the shadows take hold. You're never soon you'll be set truly free from all those chains you bear.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Summoner's Rift once again for game number 4 between the Akuma Blades and Glacial Esports Black. Glacial Esports back onto the blue side now for game number 4, and they do have a pretty potent draft with which to work, try and close this series out before Akuma can tie them up at 2 wins apiece.
Yeah, that's it right now. And you definitely do not want to be going into this game for your GEB going down. At that point, it's going to be 2-2 in the series. Momentum could equally be on the side of Akuma here. So, this point right now, it really is about crossing your T's, dotting your I's. You've drafted yourselves a good composition for this game 4, and it really, at this point now, is just execution.
Indeed, a crucial moment in tonight's VTS finals as the teams face off once again. Just a couple of 5 points to start us off here in game 4. Nobody looking to go for any crazy plays at level 1.
Yeah, that's it right now. And really, the only notable thing I can notice myself right now with the runes itself is actually going to be Cafe Chio Colada on the side. Having taken that unsealed spellbook early on, it won't offer too much value by any means, but as this game progresses, the opportunities with those summoner spells will present themselves. That will scale. So that to me tells me exactly what this game is going to be indicative of, especially towards that bot side, and it's going to be scaling.
Indeed, yeah. We'll have to see how the Senna Scion lane will fare after seeing Senna Kench find so much success in the previous game. And also, this top lane is going to be very, very important for us to track Lyoto on the Supreme Comfort Shen pick. Once again, Dobbin, once again, going to be forced to try and answer into this Supreme Comfort pick for his opponent.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Lyoto, having piloted this Shen already extremely well in this series, is going to get another chance here to be able to close the series out with his champion. Already, look at that.
Yeah.
Off to the races. Beautiful taunt lands, and his taunts in the one game that he got Shen were just unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. Constantly 2-3-man taunts, and it's making so many things happen with a weak side champ like Shen, and doing a great job at it.
Yeah. I remember a while ago, you know, I might have brought this up last time that we cast Lyoto as well. I don't quite remember, but Scion getting flayed backwards here. The feathers, they're flying. He flashes away. He barely manages to stay alive. Thresh also forced to flash away to stay alive, as we did see Hakorum getting some good return damage out there. But in the end, the blade caller is enough, and Silva finds the first blood. So another taunt in the top lane. Lyoto just crashing away.
On Hakorum, just trading a bit too much, and the damage, the burst coming in from Silva is just there. They net the kill, and that's a beautiful hook from Sly Lego, recognizing that yes, he can die after landing that, flashes away. So that's multiple flashes being burned from that bot side, but GB's going to come out that much farther ahead.
Yeah, it was a close scuffle down there in the 2v2, but it is Silva who is the last player standing on the Xayah. 400 gold up now over his opponents. Not able to get that Noon Quiver completion just yet, but still have to imagine the Xayah feeling pretty confident, as the Buckler, I believe, was denied there by Lyoto.
Just those little fun top lane minigames. The directed camera really is paying a lot of attention to these top laners, though.
Yeah.
We really don't see much at top, though, do we?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like there's a lot of APM here or anything, but yeah, the spectator camera is just all about it for whatever reason.
The spec camera's loving it. And this wave absolutely needs to crash right now. The good news is...
It's looking like good news for Lyoto for sure, as that's going to be Dobbin forced to flash away to get away from that Wukong, who made a surprise appearance into the top lane. Pretty straightforward for Juna, huh? As a full clear into the top grab, into top gank. And that's going to be able to get the flash.
Yeah, that's another advantage here in these solo lanes. And Silva and Sly Lego have done a really good job of thinning this wave. They still have the option to be able to freeze. Nice knock up. Good chain too. A little bit of extra damage there coming in, but Silva just doing a really good job of being able to clear and to be able to clear those minions and actually be able to trade up there. Really deny Sly Lego from taking too much extra damage and just piloting his champion really well.
Hex Flash for the Sly Lego once again. We're looking for that hook onto Scion, but the Blade Caller CC not quite long enough.
We didn't talk too much about it either. Silva actually didn't even burn any sumps at that first blood either. He still has that ghost. He still has that flash. And a beautiful hook here again from Sly.
Indeed, was a really nice hook. Not quite able to follow up on that, though, as the Senna is underneath her turret at the moment.
Yeah, just constantly chipping away at this bot lane. And unfortunately, with that Kench, a lot of the sustain that you saw last game just isn't there.
True. Yeah, that is one of the main reasons why Kench is the primary pairing with the Senna, right? Because with his additional tankiness and sustain, it makes that bot duo pretty immovable down there. But we do see Leoto going in for a taunt in the top lane. Poppy no flash, but will still be able to escape. Has enough movement speed to get away from the Eye of Twilight.
That's it right now, and the collapse is coming through here from both sides. Hook just missing.
Definitely a close call there. We do have a Hex Mist in the area, stepping forward relatively aggressively towards Silva, who does get some good damage out with the feathers. Dragon going down quite low. I don't think Viego's going to be able to get into this pit. Smite secure should be good from Junaha. We'll be able to get that first objective, but for Akuma Blades, they identify that it's not a winning position for them. They're able to back away, and nobody goes down, but except maybe Dobbin! As Leoto flashes forward and secures a solo kill on his Shen. Oh, and now it's Hex Mist in trouble, forced to flash away. A nice invade from the mid jungle of Glacial Esports on the bottom side of the map as well. And what looked at first like a pretty innocuous first dragon that wasn't going to be too consequential suddenly snowballed into so much more. Ghost popped for Xayah. In comes the Thresh, but they don't know that Hexmist was waiting in the bush, but Hexmist just walks forward and dies. That was not the play that the Viego was looking for. It's because Leoto was there with the Stand United to turn it around. And now Sion on the run, gonna get flayed backwards. Silva should have the damage here, and certainly with the assistance of Junaha comes out of the jungle and takes down the Sion. 4-0 now on the scoreboard, Glacial Esports in the early game.
Leoto Shen. Solo kill topside TP bot with his ultimate. Set that play up to make things happen
He's
everywhere.
the difference maker.
There's no doubt about it. He's playing exceptionally well right now, and that's something we just expect to see. He really, truly is that rock in that topside. Just consistency left, right, and center, and he's done a great job. He still manages to get back and catch this wave too, so he barely misses anything. If anything, he's actually ahead of Dobbin right now in CS. So, yeah, Leoto just running circles right now around this top side.
That's pretty crazy, honestly. Although I guess the solo kill would help out with that a bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's just the state of the game right now for GEB is that much stronger. They actually have lanes to be able to play to, and look at the Shen damage.
Oh, look at him go. Yeah, the heroic charge there, not going to get the Shen even close to the wall. The Keeper's Verdict come out just to try and self-peel a little bit for the Poppy. Viego is here, but this Shen is so tanky, surviving for a while. He's not quite able to finish off that kill onto the Poppy. And Hexmist at least is able to get into that top lane to stem the bleeding, as Dobbin certainly needed the assistance.
Right, and crucially we saw Fluke actually be able to set something up there with his ultimate. Juna is around. Okay. You never know there.
Cyclone, but didn't want to commit for it.
That's right. You never do know. And just good patience there from both sides. Akram not having that flash there could have been in some trouble had they have wanted to full commit, but I think wisely so. They choose not to. They don't want to overextend. Map state right now for GEB is just that much better. They're just so far ahead.
Although it does appear that they're losing out on this first Rift Herald, as Hexmist has started that one up, and doesn't seem like Junaha is going to be anywhere near to try and contest. So the early neutrals will be traded. Akuma Blades are going to be able to pick that one up, but we can see these lane states are just so much in favor of GEB.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and you see a little bit of response across maps. Some camps are going down, but those are being traded equally on both sides, and right now you see at Akuma, they're forced off this turret. They're going to miss a lot of extra gold here. Only one wave right now, but it looks like they're going to elect to stay. This could be a dive with Shenna. Shenna actually isn't available.
Shenna's still only level 5. But again, the minion wave's going to get cleared out, and going to be Junaha thinking better of it.
If that timer was there, that Shenna on Leoto is almost up, and I actually thought it was. I just didn't notice that it was. I think it was down for maybe 8 or 9 seconds, and I feel like had that have been up, that the trigger would have been pulled there.
Yeah, I do think you're probably absolutely right about that one, Turk. But fortunately for Akuma Blades, will not be the option for Glacial Esports this time around. We do have our next dragon coming up, though, in just about a minute, and the Stand United will certainly be available for this one.
Yeah, that's just it right there. When it comes to these neutrals here, GEB has done a fantastic job here. In this game, it's been equalized by Akuma. They netted that Rift Herald in the process, but a lot of these neutrals have been 100% executed by GEB, and Leoto taking a little bit extra damage here.
Xmas is trying to preempt this play, take the Stand United out of the picture before the Dragon even spawns. Trying to do some alcove gaming here is Leoto, but I don't think he's got an angle out of this one, and that will be the kill for Dobbin, Poppy's first of the game.
That's right, and they will net that kill. The resets are still going to have to come through. Shen will be up in time with that Stand United, so as long as this top wave crashes, it looks like Akuma should be able to get a reset and potentially contest this, especially with June showing towards his top side around those Raptors. So this Dragon can be contested, but they may equally just decide to drop this Rift Herald top with the pressure that they have, and it's going to net themselves his first turret in the process.
It absolutely will. Now, overall, I do think this is oh, that's the Shocking Orb is going to connect onto the Wukong. We also have Cafe Chocolate here. The Unstoppable Onslaught will come through the Cyclone in response. Warrior Trish going to try and get away. Has to flash away from the Decimating Smash. Wukong will be able to stay alive. And now the Engage comes through onto the Xerath. The hook will land. Sly Lego sets it up. But the Viego now has roamed over to the mid lane. The Heartbreaker onto the support will be able to take the body of the Thresh. And now trying to focus down Leoto as well. Flashes over the wall into the Raptor Pit. Trying to create some space. Trying to get away from this skirmish that's going so much in favor of the Akuma Blades. Meanwhile, in top lane, the Rift Herald charged all the way into the tier 2, and Glacial Esports is extending pretty far to try and make a play happen in mid lane. They do end up getting punished.
Oh, Leoto's so tanky. It took them so long to get that kill, but Akuma overall just comes out so far ahead off of that play, and just really, really good execution coming out from them there. And at the end of the day, they get that first turret off a great macro play, rotate, end up taking that skirmish, end up winning out, and deny this turret bot site from going down. So Silva, he does get 4 plates in the process, but that isn't a turret, it isn't equalized, it doesn't free up that Xayah yet from the map. Well, of course, we see right away this Poppy. Dobbin, he's already moving, setting up control around this Dragon, and we'll see what happens here with this pick. Maybe Sly Lego.
Oh, they're looking for Xerath once again here. He's pretty isolated at the moment. You do have the teleport coming in from Poppy to try and deal for the mid laner, and the Xerath will survive the initial engagement. Thresh now trapped in the alcove. He is going to be taken down. And Akuma Blades, after being down 0-4 in the early game, have been able to fight back exceptionally well.
Yeah, they did a really good job there. That's a beautiful TP from Dobbin. Able to just capitalize there. The hook ends up going wide, and as soon as that happens, Sly Lego is just free for the picking. That TP comes through, they net that kill with the stun into the wall, and this Dragon now is being played for with a numbers advantage. Sly Lego isn't here either.
That's right, yeah, the Thresh still pretty far from this engagement, and this time it's Glacial Esports' turn to identify that they are not in position to contest, and they will wisely back away.
That's right, and Dragon Soul at this point really isn't much of a factor, at least for the next 15 minutes here, so a lot can be done in this game time from between now and then. So, yep, Dragon Soul is not too much of a priority here at this point right now. It really does just come down to scaling, getting these items on your carries. Obviously, you see Silva really starting to ramp up.
Blade Caller, the Unstoppable Onslaught comes out in response because it was Cafe knowing that they were going to get CC'd regardless. Oh, that was a beautiful flay. Interrupts the Decimating Smash. First one will come out. That was a Viego.
Silva.
Blade Caller, that was insane from Silva. Manages to find the 1-for-1, but still it's Viego charging forward. Looking for the resets. Finds the Spectrum. Thresh flashed away. Gets the shield underneath the turret. Will survive 1-for-1. Some heroics from the Glacial ADC.
Silva. Oh, that flash. That flash pull back with the feathers is so clean. That ends up making it a 1-for-1, and Sly Lego almost goes down. But guess what? He doesn't.
Oh, Dobbin. Dear. Dobbin in trouble. Has flash. Can create some space here. Sion has arrived to the play, but this Sion is not necessarily the most threatening of people who could have teleported into this one. The Cyclone will find the knock-up, and Sion's running out of HP. The Decimating Smash not going to be decimating anybody. And that's a shutdown. Going over to Junaha's Wukong.
Yep, gonna net a little bit extra kill. More importantly, too, that TP is actually burned, too, so that's going to slow down a lot of the tempo here from the side of Akuma. What ends up really happening from that, time will tell, but there's no doubt when it comes to matching any sort of split right now, it's extremely difficult. All 3 TPs on the side of Akuma are not available right now. Side lanes are ripe for the picking for GEB. They can absolutely set up, especially around Leoto with the Stand United and TP both being available. So that side lane split push is there. Silva's absolutely ramping up right now. 3-1. He's working on the components for his second item here. Pressuring bot. Still hasn't got that turret. It's basically one shot at this point, but really with any sort of force can be taken. Whether they just send June or whether they send Kaitazura off mid-prio. That bot side turret's not long for this world.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of Summoner's Rift is a playground right now for Glacial Esports, so the teleport has just come back off cooldown for Fluke. So that is at least one option. But again, Xerath teleport is not necessarily the most impactful. Like, it's really more of a tempo play when Xerath uses the teleport. Like, he's not going to have an immediate impact when he teleports into a play, right?
Yeah, he really just TPs to get set up to be able to look for poke on a neutral. There's no real inherent burst or anything that actually comes from that Xerath TP. So yeah, you're 100% right. And GB's done a really good job of setting up around the spot side. Even though this dragon isn't up for 2 minutes, the priority ran it really well. Here we go though.
Spot. The flash does get forced out from Kite Azur. So a good attempt from Akuma Blades, a good response from Kite Azur. Now Poppy aggressively looking for the heroic charge here is relatively even, actually, with the Shen at this point in time, despite how grim that early game was looking. Now, we do have the Hex Flash over the wall for Sly Lego. Not going to be able to find anybody. 90 seconds out till our next Dragon turn.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you are right. Daba's done a very good job of being able to get back into this game. He does need to be careful here, though. The hook just barely going wide.
Oh, Wukong in a great flank position here. The flash was not it from Dobbin. Honestly, I don't know if it really mattered. It was probably dead even if he did get over the wall, but that is going to be 5v4 on the Rift now for Glacial Esports, but the Poppy will be alive with teleport with plenty of time before the dragon spawns.
Yeah, that's right. And at this point, you wonder whether GEB wants to even pressure towards that dragon. It isn't the most impactful of souls. The hook? Oh, wow.
Close.
I feel like I've seen those hit. I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like I have. But yeah,
I think Senna gets a little bit of move speed from the W, does she? Or no?
From the W, her Rue?
Or whatever
her shroud, yes. Her shroud, yes, she does. I don't know. It's a small percentage, but yes, she does. Hexmiss is looking for Leoto. Good damage.
Oh, Heartbreaker, not going to find the mark as Leoto taunts away from that one. Flashing away from the right of the Arcane as well. Leoto committing a lot there. Still going to get taken down. Heartbreaker forward for Viegos, who wants to continue the chase. Warrior Trickster in response. Wukong trying to create the space. And still holding on to the flash as well. So just that one pick onto the Shen for AKM.
Yeah, that's a good response from Akuma. I like to see that, but what do they get after that kill is the real question here right now. And you can actually see GB looking for a bit more. Dobbin doesn't have the flash, needs to be a little careful.
Diego has completed the reset, so it's only Dobbin left in that top lane, but will back off in time.
And this is nice to see. Akuma will end up netting out a tier 1 mid. That is one of the most important, if not the most important turrets in the game. Well, that's really nice to see. Hexmiss is around to cut.
This is a very interesting position right now for Kite Azur. Is going to get flanked by the Viego, but the Lantern gets the Syndra out to safety, and now Wukong with the counter engage finds the Cyclone onto the back line. Nobody can support their Scion. Cafe Chocolata going to get taken down first. The Viego's been cut down as well, and it's a huge turn for Glacial Esports around this next Dragon. We do have Dobbin pushing down the top lane, though.
My only question is why? Why? It feels so sad. Akuma, we see Dobbin, he's split pushing top, and it seems like this has been tried and true for game after game for Akuma tonight. Just a little bit of indecisiveness. Whether or not they want to contest for neutral, that at the end of the day really doesn't matter. Or whether they want to split push. In this case, they want to try to do both.
Leoto has got this Poppy exactly where he wants her. We do have the Red of the Arcane coming out on the other side of the map as there is a team fight breaking out. The taunt will come through from Leoto. This tank battle is extremely slow, but Shen surely, especially with the help of Syndra, will eventually come out on top. Looks like nobody went down in that bot lane skirmish.
Yep, that's exactly it right now. And GEB off this point do have the option, have the first move to start getting vision set up towards this Baron, which is probably going to be the next major objective here. I don't even anticipate, even with the soul point, that this dragon is that highly contested. I don't think it should have been in the first place from Akuma. Maybe just a little bit of game forward nerves or whatever it might have been here. But if they are able to net this, they are at least able to bring back some of this gold lead here. Or some of this gold. It's not even a gold deficit at this point. The map state really, or excuse me, the gold state really is even, but the map state feels so much more dire here. It just seems like GB is rotating exceptionally well as a unit. They're making those plays, and when they have that Stand United up, when they have that Wukong ult up, they're really able to make those plays, and it's really difficult for Akuma to be able to answer. So I want to see Akuma try to set some plays up, look for some numbers advantages, something like that, because I'm not sure you win that 4v4 or the 5v5.
Yeah, no, Turk, I absolutely agree. it does just feel like Glacial Esports Black are a bit more coordinated at the present time. Of course, we did also just see Shirley not able to accomplish too much, unfortunately. That bot tier 1 already taken down by Hakuram and Cafe. Shirley not able to get towards that tier 2, so a little bit of a wasted objective for Akuma. Not the end of the world, though. They do have to consider the Chemtech Soul Point that's going to be a possibility in 3.5 minutes' time. You know, counterpoint, it is Chem Soul, so maybe they don't care as much as they normally would, but still. Oh, this is a big old flank, actually. Senna's going to flash away to try and stay alive, but the flay backwards is good. And I don't think that the Senna has any way out of this situation. That is going to be the kill over to Silva. Heartbreaker away is not in time. This Viego's going to get cut down as well. 2 for 0. Glacial Esports Black in the mid lane.
And that's just really off good vision setup there. GB finds that small, very small momentary lapse of vision from the side of Akuma. Just pull off the Hex Flash with Sly Lego. They pull trigger, full commit with that Shirelia's Battle Song, and they close the gap on Hakuram. Even with the flash, he's not able to get out, and that's 2 kills back to back. Net this Baron, and game tempo really truly is in GB's favor. Good answer though from Akuma. Net that tier 2 mid.
Yeah, able to get at least a little bit of gold back for themselves. This might be a bit much though from Cafe, and well, I mean, he does at least have some friends. You know, Cafe and Fluke and Dobbin all in the area here as Poppy starts to channel the recall, and it doesn't seem like Glacial Esports are going to be able to get over here to actually punish.
And all the meanwhile, June just happily taking tier 1 top, netting a little bit extra gold for himself. Sitting on 1500 right now, so should be a completed second item here. Should round up that Wukong pretty nicely. Right around that 2 item mark is when that champion really starts to come online, and anything after that is just a bonus. So Wukong's pretty much there. The Cyclone's going to be available, and GB is 100% going to be able to start setting up off this Baron that they have. They still have opportunities to crack mid tier 1, tier 2, and bot tier 2, which is so low right now. And I wouldn't be surprised to see GB put a lot of pressure towards the spot side of the map with that dragon coming up anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty easy call to play towards the bot side.
TP.
TP on the flank. That's Cafe. Going to be looking for the engage here. Flash away for Kaitazur once again. Able to deny that initial engage. And the Featherstorm comes out from the Xayah. Flashes over the wall. Able to stay alive. Both carries able to stay safe for the side of Glacial Esports. Now the front line on the side of Akuma Blades is going to get probably shredded. Wukong into the back line with the Cyclone. Let's find the knock-up onto the Poppies. Viego looking for the reset. Can't quite find it as Junaha goes golden at the last possible moment. He is eventually going to get shut down by Dama, but the Poppy sacrifices herself to make it happen. It's going to be the 2-for-1 play. Glacial Esports Black in the mid lane, and they still have the Barons there flashing away, barely able to stay alive. Gets away from that hook from Sly Lego. But now Glacial Esports, they have full run of the Rift. It's only 1 minute to the Dragon.
Yeah, that's it. They still control the entirety of this bot side quadrant here, and looks like they're going to pressure for this tier 2 bot as well. Should be able to net that. Probably end up staying and waiting just for this dragon to spawn. Maybe they do reset. They have a lot of options at this point. Long story short, GB's just done a great job of being able to get themselves in this position in the first place. With this team comp that they've drafted, no matter what at this point right now, they're going to continue to scale. The cohesion from Akuma's comp doesn't really feel like it's going to amount to too much at this point right now. Ideally, if you could find a couple picks, maybe with Hex Mist, he does have some damage. He's got those 2 items. He has a couple windows to find some things to make some plays, but I haven't seen much, unfortunately, from Fluke yet. Seems like when it comes to a lot of the mid-priority, Kaiser is able to generate that, rotate into those side lanes, and make a lot of that pressure happen early on. While this Xerath pick, which has been banned for the majority of the series, might just not be playing out too much yet, but the good news is, that champion is going to continue to scale. I know that Fluke can play that champion exceptionally well. Once he hits that level 16, that Xerath should be online. He has those 2 items right now, so you give him a little bit of time. He's going to be doing some damage. It's just, GEB is such a strong team. They've been able to close these games out time and time again. There have been many times where I've been on the receiving end of this as a player myself and being able to cast again. They really do have an excellent team when it comes down to this. Just their cohesion works really well together. And it looks like they're poised to be able to close this one out here. The Shenar.
Up a little bit. Little CC in return. Yeah, here comes Lyoto. Make this a 2v1 play. You know, Viego's also here, but the Poppy's getting chunked down so severely right at the start of this engagement. Viego is able to trade back decently well onto the Shen. Heartbreaker comes out, taunt away, creating some space. Spectrum Mob will Lance Scatter the weekend response. Viego now is the one getting low. He has to flash away to try and create some space. Hexmist with the miss, but the flash forward for Leota wants to maintain vision on the Ruined King, but the movement speed will be enough to get Hexmist out towards safety. Maybe not. The same can be said for Dobbin, though. That taunt will not land, but it will not matter as the Poppy is going to get taken down. This is all of the resources committed for Glacial Esports Black, though. They are all 5 members, it looks like, in the top lane right now, and that has left their mid lane completely undefended. We do have Hakorum and Fluke trying to take down that tier 3 turret in mid. I don't really know about this trade, Glacial Esports, but now they are.
We got a TP behind, though.
Behind for Kaitazur, looking to cut off the retreat path for Fluke and Hakorum. They don't have any of their front line here. It's just a couple of very, very squishy carries. If they get hit by a couple of balls, it's all over for them. But Kaitazur cannot get in range to land the scatter. It looks like Senna may be able to make it out to safety, but the Mega Blast Cone gets Syndra exactly where she wants to be. She goes golden. She denies the burst, and now it's Thresh on the flank. He finds the flay, doesn't find the hook, though. The taunt also is going to go wide. The Xerath Q doesn't quite land onto the Syndra, and Fluke is going to get taken down. Meanwhile, the mid lane, what is this sequence that's happening right now, Turk? The Death Sun is going to land onto the Senna. That's exactly who Slylega wanted to find it. Now it's both carries down on the side of Akuma Blaze. They do still have their Viego, though. We could see Hexmist trying to reset through this fight. It's Leoto going to get hooked by the Death Sentence. Heartbreaker comes out once again. Shed on the retreat, trying to get back towards his mid laner. Unstoppable Onslaught comes out. Syndra flashing away, staying alive. Chamber to stay safe as well, and now it's Junhaha who is going for the split push. The Wukong is not with the rest of the team. He is, in fact, taking down the enemy base. He still has the Baron buff, I believe, as well. Well, maybe not. No, he doesn't have Baron buff. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's going to be the side of Glacial Esports Black winning out in the team fight. They're going to be able to break the enemy base as well. What an insane, crazy sequence we just had. Turk, you take it from here. I can't anymore.
Breathe, crewman, breathe! Xmist is gonna go down, and that's a lot that happened off of 5 members topside from GEB, which was maybe, what, 2.5 minutes ago, and it was a good response from Akuma netting that tier 3, exposing that inhibitor in the mid lane, but you saw the TP coming in from Kaitazur, and then from there the slow chase began, and the rest of the fiascos followed suit, and now all of a sudden we see this inhibitor gone from the side of Akuma. No longer can they really contest that top wave. This Baron is now being started, being taken here from GEB, and they already control this map state from, it was quite a fiesta, and Ruben, I'm sure you're glad to be able to breathe again.
I'll say the Baron will get secured. It's going to be the Xayah of all people who gets the last hit on that one, while the rest of the team, they're looking for picks. They're looking to cut off the approach for Akuma. Xerath is going to get burst down right at the start of this one. It's looking like an absolute wipe. Akuma Blades, they fought back so well. They kept this game close for so long. They even had some nice cross maps when they started to fall behind to try and keep themselves in it. But in the end, the team fighting prowess of Glacial Esports Black was too much for them to overcome. The Nexus will fall. All 3 wins for GEB under 30 minutes as they take a dominant 3-1 victory in the VTS Grand Finals.
Pretty fitting. You gotta say, I remember interviewing some of the members of GEV last season, last split, and when they told me that that was the first league that they ever won, I was pretty surprised. And now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they've already won another one, and this is now their 3rd. If not, I could be wrong. That's A-okay. If not, at minimum, it's 2nd, and there's no doubt that they absolutely deserved it. The reigning champions for back-to-back years now, and yeah, GEB, when it came down to it, the first time, right, they end up playing against Akuma. Akuma 2-0s them. Maybe GEB had some subs. I don't know if we quite have the info on that or not by any means, but there's no doubt when it came to the grand finals, they came ready to play. Leoto, absolute tear on the Shen. Like,
oh, man.
Without a question, like, just superb top lane play, and you really don't get to see it too much in such a heavily influenced bot side meta. That's really truly seems like what it is nowadays, and as a top laner, being able to have as much impact as you do while being able to control your lane itself too, it's just, you got to give it to him. I think Leoto played exceptionally well. June is gonna always have a consistent game no matter what. He's pretty much gonna out tempo any jungler that he goes against, and he has such a wide champion pool that he's able to pick around some of these champions like the Wukong in this case, which just gives him that inherent scaling. So kudos to him. Kaitazura is always a rock. Whenever he gets prio, he rotates and impacts any side lane. And constantly, you saw time and time again where a 3v2 for Akuma when they're looking for a gank, say bot side, turns into a 4v3 or a 5v3. And that really is off the back of the prio that Kaitazura and Leota, both the solos from GEB, are able to get. Silva and Sly Lego, that bot lane, they're exceptionally strong. They did a really good job. Silva ends up ending this game at 11-1. Pretty hard to kill Azaya. Pretty hard to kill Azaya with a Shen and a Thresh. And good job to them, man. They deserved it, Crewman.
Yeah, and even remember early on, Silva, I believe it was in a 2v3, where the Zaya had that
Yeah,
crazy flash
yeah,
feather
yeah.
pull to like get herself started in terms of picking up that gold, getting towards those item completions. So Silva, absolutely. The Zaya, in conjunction with the rest of the team comp, was a really strong pick. But then also the individual play, I think, can absolutely be shouted out as well for that marksman player. Of course, as a jungler myself, got to give a special shout out to June as well. Wukong, kind of trash tier right now, honestly, in terms of the meta. He's not very good, but I mean, June obviously made it work here and made it look pretty good at that. So clearly knew how to play around the rest of his team, and able to facilitate a very clean victory here
Yep.
in game number 4. It was Akuma Blades. They did find some counter punches. It's not like they were completely at a loss. They did have some plays that worked in their favor, but in terms of getting towards those win conditions, it was all Glacial.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And in the draft, you can make the argument that Glacial was that much more on top of Akuma as well. But really, when it came down to
Mm,
execution, it was so apparent. There's no doubt about it. And in Game 4, it really highlights it too, right? Once GEB actually gets a composition that they're comfortable with, where they can draft around that front to back play style, it really seems like things just click. And Akuma, it seems like they might have indexed a bit too much into that center pick after that Tom Kench was banned from GEB, which is just a great adaptation. Like, these guys are really good at draft
true.
too. It's not only
Yeah.
just that they're good at like playing the game itself and actually understanding where to be at the right time, but it's like no, they can actually draft properly. And they have a good plan, and it's really tough to be able to shut them down. It's tough to want to ban a top lane when there's so many other bans that you need to make, especially in phase 2, right? It's like you don't really want to have to ban a Shen, but guess what? Versus GEB, you do. You don't
You
really have much
actually
of a
have to.
choice,
Yeah,
right?
you have no
Like
choice at all.
uh, maybe
You
there's a
have to
couple
ban him.
champions that could take him out, but I don't think so, man. I don't think it works like that. So no, GEB, it's just they're a strong team on and off the rift, and it shows. Yeah, but for Akuma, maybe just a bit too much of a heavy index into the Senna. The Senna side just didn't quite pilot out to what it was maybe meant to be. The Xerath, you could make the same argument, and then at R5 once again, crewman just didn't seem like it did too much.
Yeah. I definitely do think that the drafting is a strength for Glacial Esports that was highlighted for us very clearly tonight. They absolutely had a leg up, and honestly, all of these drafts, I think we could make an argument for game number 3. And it's just a little bit harder to make it work on red side. But I think the drafting was really, really on point. They had great adaptations as well, like you already mentioned, heading into that game number 4 after going down in game 3. And just a really strong showing from them and a well-deserved championship, I think, here
Oh,
in fall of 23.
for sure,
Before
yeah,
we
100%. Kudos to them, man, and they deserve it too. They work hard. They're in I don't know how many leagues
Yeah,
these
I
guys
mean,
play all the
they
time
probably
as a
wouldn't
team.
have made it this far if they weren't working hard, right? And they clearly, and it's not just the Shen pick either, right? It's the fact that they clearly are playing around the Shen pick so well. Everybody on the team understands exactly how the composition works, what they're playing for. Yeah, looks really good.
And the craziest thing too, even from listening to the players last season when they did end up winning, they were talking about how much fun they have too. Like that's a massive part to the atmosphere of any team. It's like even in game 3, GEB, they're not tilted. They're not raging, right? They're just
For sure.
smiling, laughing. It is what it is, boys. Like we lost game 3, like we're on blue side, 100% win rate or whatever jokes they're making, right? But that's just the way that they play, and they just have a good team environment. And as for the course too, they just have a good team in general. So yeah, for them, no doubt they deserve to be able to win this league, and they did a great job taking down the first seed of Akuma. And Akuma, you got to hand it to them too. Obviously, they made it this far. It's not like this is a fluke by any means either. It's just maybe you
Ah,
can make
fluke.
the
Thank you
argument,
for
right?
defending.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's true. If you want to play a little devil's advocate, you can maybe make the argument that Akuma just wasn't as prepared as what they could have been for tonight's series.
Hmm.
To me, it really screamed. I think the bands really showed it. I truly believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we did at least see a little bit of their strategy, when we saw right in the hands of Hexmist, but
Mhm.
that was just one game, and ultimately, I think as we've already discussed, the the League of Legends was just a little bit better tonight for Glacial Esports. But before we close things out, Turk, if you had to choose one player for your finals MVP, we take all 4 games into account, particularly the wins, though obviously. Who would
Mhm.
you lean towards in terms of Glacial Esports' most valuable player in this match?
In this match, I can give you 100% an answer. In the overall series, that one might be a little bit harder. I might need to call him backup, aka you, to get a little bit of your feedback for that one, because that'd be a tough call. But for this game, I'd give it to Silva. Like, that man was just on a mission. Like, he wanted to win the game. He wanted to close it out. Game 3, they had a rough bot side. They ended up banning that Tom Kench. And with that Scion, they did a fantastic job of piling it. Ends up getting that first bot so early on. Turns around that 2v3 with Sly Lego. Ends up getting a 1-for-1 play. Goes 11-1, 700 gold bounty on the Xayah. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what more there else is to say other than, like, we talked about it time and time again. He's just going to be consistent every game. You know that no matter what. Even if he goes down early, he's going to be able to get scaling. He's going to be able to ramp up. And in this game, he didn't go down early basically at all. He got ahead, and when he gets ahead, you can see it. Just one death in a 28, basically 30-minute game. 11-1 and 4, 700 gold bounty, man. He's my MVP, that's for sure. I give it to him.
yeah, pretty crazy, honestly. The one death of the entire game for Silva was that crazy play in the
That's
bot
right.
lane where he was able to go 1-for-1
Yeah.
and then didn't die again for the entire. That's actually insane.
Yeah.
And remember also, Silva in games 1 and 2 with those really strong carry performances on the Jinx as
Exactly.
well. So
Yeah.
I think a well-deserved hog vote there. But that, I think, pretty much covers everything. Turk, did you have any other final thoughts that you wanted to share with us concerning tonight's finals or the VTS Fall 23 split overall?
Like, time flies, crewman. Like, it feels like just the other day we were casting the last finale, the last finals, and now here we are again, closing it up again for our second consecutive season here. And it's always been a blast to be able to cast with you, to be able to work with the team behind the
Oh,
scenes, to be able to cast the players here, to be a part of the scene, to be able to play occasionally in the leagues as well. It's a blast. So being able to know all the guys around here is a ton of fun. To be able to watch these guys play too is exciting because there's some real good talent here. Whether the players of themselves know it or they do, I don't know. But to me, I could see a lot of good talent in these guys, and I think there's a
absolutely.
lot of up and coming players who have a bright future in league if they want, whether it's collegiate, pursuing diplomas, careers, everything else like that, or they want to have a little fun on the side, whatever they want to do. But I'm glad to be a part of it, so it's a pleasure to be
Absolutely.
here.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Turk. Obviously, I am also extremely happy to be part of this here at Victoris. And we had a fun season. It was a little bit of a more abbreviated season, right? A little bit
Yep.
shorter this time around, but we still were treated to some amazing gameplay and some ups, some downs, some highs, some lows, all of that and more here at Victoris. And I'm sure we'll get even more of that next season whenever that does come to pass. But for now, I think that is going to conclude our coverage of the VTS Fall 23 split. Thank you. Big thanks to all of the players, all of the teams that participated, and of course to all of you out there in Twitch chat that are watching. Thank you guys very, very much for being here. For myself, from Turk, from the entire production team at Victoris, we appreciate every single one of you, and we'll see you next season for some more League of Legends action. Take care. Good night. We'll see you then.
See you soon. Bye bye.